You know who my favorite characters from Final Fantasy IV are?
Snow
and Squall. And definitely not Palum and Polum.
Irvine.
And Irvine. But that doesn't matter because we are, in fact, in Palumpolum this week. And we've brought along another hostage with us once again. So, Corey, welcome back for another round.
They haven't let me out of this room since last week.
Corey has not turned to crystal.
I've been sitting in this room playing Final Fantasy XIII and drinking coffee for 7 straight days.
We have mostly been remembering to slide food under his door. You know, we would get like some Taco Bell and whatever we didn't all eat when we got the 12-pack, we would just kind of shove under the door.
I'm picturing, like a burrito supreme, like squeezed through the crack under like a normal bedroom door. just mashed through there.
Yeah, it just kind of explodes as it comes out the other
A
end.
smear of refried beans along the floor like a skid mark.
Corey screaming at us from his cell, I said Senna twist.
Did you remember the guacamole?
It reminds me of a tweet that I saw recently of a cat just crawling under like the crack in the bottom of the door. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, I'm very glad that my cats can't do that because that would probably lead to them fighting a lot more with one another.
Cats are cool.
Cats are cool.
Are cool. And so is Final Fantasy XIII. And of course, we are the Every FNFF podcast. I'm Carl.
I'm Curtis.
As always.
Oh, sorry. Whoops.
That's fine. Everyone fucking knows.
And I'm Corey.
Standing in for me is Corey. He's way more bespoke than I am. Or that's the word I'm trying to... That's not bespoke. That's not the right word.
Well, he's a bicycle
Beloke.
fan, so he definitely is like... He's more spokes than the rest of us.
That's true.
Corey has way more...
Pizzazz.
You have more zazz. You have more, honestly, just reading comprehension than any of us. Because as I was editing, like, oh man, Corey gets this game.
Oh, shucks.
Themes and like symbolism.
Really dinks you dink.
Well, I mean, we'll probably get into it a little bit today on today's episode, but the game.
I don't think there's any symbolism in this game.
Yeah, the game's a little not subtle when it comes to some of the symbolism. Notably, one of our characters being named Hope.
Yeah, the Jordan Peele movie.
Let's go ahead and get into it because we are on a little bit of like a short recording session today. So we're going to fucking flex it and pump this one out, baby.
Running through.
I feel the Seath genes pulsing.
That's right. We don't want to turn into Seath, so we got to get going. We got to get that crystalline finish, baby. But yeah, so the scene actually opens up today on Palumpolum. We're there, right? Lightning and Hope have made it, and they are hiding behind like armored trucks because the Guardian Corps has been called in to work with SciComm on this one. So they're like protecting, I suppose, Palumpolum from the Laseeth menace.
Yeah, we'd actually, before we even see Lightning and Hope, we do see like a huge, just like SciComm and probably like the Guardian Corps just dropping in on Palumpolum. We see like tons of drop ships and more of those tilters and just tons and tons of just forces and Humvees and...
They're extremely mobilized.
Yeah, it's very Halo.
And then this complete jerkwad of a guy with his Bluetooth and his Sephiroth bangs.
And his Google Glass.
I was calling him a very questionably aged man.
In Final Fantasy terms,
Hans
this guy's
Molman,
like 86, right?
Yeah.
He's got his Bluetooth and his drone next to him.
Yeah.
Oh, he does have a little
He looks
drone,
like discount brand Sephiroth. You know, he's kind of got long hair. It's like a little tiny ponytail. He's got like a scar on his face. So, you know.
I must say, like, even though like they made him look very regal and like militant, like they still implemented like a very like a miniature tie into his design.
Yeah.
I like that he's basically a Twitch streamer. You know, he's got like a cam on him all the time, like just streaming everything to the masses.
He's saying poggers all the time and thanking people for their bits and stuff. It's pretty good.
So this guy's name is Yag Rosh, like Yaag.
Pog Roach.
Pog Roach.
The hot new emote
Yoggers.
coming at
Hey
you
everyone,
soon.
welcome to the stream. I'm here in Palumpolum, and we're feeling pretty sad that these guys got in here. So
This is Papa Roach.
Get some F's in the chat, please.
can I get some F's in the chat that Lassie are
So
here?
wait, how do you actually pronounce his name? Is it Roche?
Hold on, let me. He says it out
He
loud.
does say it. Yeah,
I think the
he
Japanese
says, like,
is
I'm
real shit,
Commander
so-
Roche, the biggest dipshit in the world.
The biggest
I think-
dipshit.
But now the reason I ask is
It's
because
Roche.
Roche from Friends. Got it.
I think it's Roche, but he's saying it with a British accent, so it's a Roche.
Okay.
In it?
All right. In Roche, in it.
I like how you rolled the R.
But as we're seeing like all these armaments like assemble, we're hearing his voice over his Bluetooth intercom.
Attention all units. This is Director Roche, SciComm Division. Cocoon is caught in the grip of a pulse-borne terror. If we allow l'Cie activity to continue, panic will rip our world apart. The peace and stability we have fought so hard to maintain will be nothing but a memory. Pulse l'Cie threaten our very way of life. They must be eliminated. There can be no hesitation.
That is all. If we fail, our citizens will pay the price.
Interestingly, he does say if we fail, our citizens will pay the price after he's taken the mic off, which I think is supposed to be like, oh, he does believe in this thing. Like,
Yeah, that's a good point. I also like the presentation of like he's just fully in like the mode, like the militant mode, because he like has the weird
he's
little
in
microphone. and
capital
he, like,
T, the capital M mode.
Yeah, he puts it into like his like subservient like helper.
The
or
keeper
whatever,
of
like,
the Bluetooth.
Yeah, like holds out his like.
My liege.
Do not lose my AirPod.
Make sure to turn Bluetooth off on your devices when I hand this to you so it doesn't connect to your cell phone.
He has two separate people for his AirPods. So
Everyone needs a little
you can't
AirPod
trust
boy.
one person with two.
He's got the R and the L, yeah.
Well, no, it's like the missile control, where you have like two guys turn the keys.
Exactly. Yeah. His I was gonna say limit break, but that doesn't really exist. His Gestalt mode, I guess, is him putting in both of his AirPods.
Roche, no, he can't hear us.
I was gonna say I took pretty good notes for this section, and the only note I wrote for the beginning was just he can't hear us. His AirPods are in.
But yeah, as all of this is going on, we do see all the SciComm soldiers and presumably some Guardian Corps as well, grabbing weapons and like really just like amping up to like really just go after the l'Cie, which is bad news for us.
Right.
We don't really know. Well, maybe we do. Why do they think that l'Cie are in Polypolum? Is why I'm curious. Is it something like, do they have intel from Snow? Do they? Which I don't think that's true. But
I think it has to do with what Sid was talking about on the Lindblom.
Mm-hmm.
Where he's like, oh, we're going to do a public execution of the l'Cie.
Yeah, so Sid talked about that, and he said, oh, that's like, that's Sanctum's like methods or whatever. But I think what happens is, I can't remember if it's incidental dialogue or if it's in a cutscene a little later on in this scene, but Lightning actually says like, well, so much for rivalries. Like, it looks like SciComm and the Guardian Corps are now actually teaming up, because before we talked about how like SciComm didn't want to show that they fucked up with the l'Cie, so they didn't tell their rivals in the Guardian Corps, but now it's like, I guess the gravity of the situation is kind of hitting closer to home, and they're like, okay, we just gotta mobilize all units, like blame doesn't matter, like we gotta take care of this shit right away. We don't want the public to panic, and like, so we're gonna have a huge show of militarization and,
right.
not let our citizens down.
it also depends, like, if they were spotted in like Vile Peaks, if like that intel got back, because they knew that they
That's
dropped the
true.
Vile
They did
Peaks,
get
and they're just
spotted,
like,
yeah.
okay,
Remember,
what-
there was that beacon or whatever. Maybe that has something to do with it.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't think we ever got any
explanation for that.
yeah, and I can't remember, that might be when Saz was saying or no, it was Hope and Lightning who said who were around that. But we also did see the scene with Vanille and Saz seeing all the ships just directed towards Palumpolum.
Right. My going theory is that squad got wiped out, and then there's this scene where Hope and Lightning are talking about shutting off your empathy and Operation Nora, and then when they walk away, there's that flashing thing. I'm thinking that's like a radio. So maybe their conversation was broadcast to, SciComm.
That's right.
So they knew
Yeah.
they were headed that way.
It's like these cold-blooded killers. They don't even see us as people.
Yeah.
Also, especially, wow, that conversation is like about like we have to shut ourselves off from our humanity. Like it's like we have to kill everything in our path. They're like, oh,
we need to
no,
become
they're
that
coming
which
to-
we fear the most. Which
They're
is
literally coming to New York City.
The stereotype of the l'Cie.
Also, something important to note is SciComm is interacting with the Guardian Corps here. Like the ones in yellow are Guardian Corps for Palumpolum, and the ones in black are SciComm, who are like coming here as like so it's like military and local police kind of like doing a joint operation, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely mentioned that like the SciComm does look more like a SWAT team, and Guardian Corps looks more like knights because they have like the pointed helmets and the little skirts on their armor.
Yeah, from the back, the Guardian Corps helmet kind of looks like a fisherman's hat a little bit, like a bucket hat or something. It's kind of good.
But yeah, so we see all this, and Lightning and Hope are there. They're hiding behind a like an armored car, and they kind of like mention that, like, okay, they reassess the plan, right? Like they say, okay, here's Guardian Corps, here's SciComm, we can do this, we can make it. What our plan is to get to the Palumpolum station and get on a train for Eden. And I like a scene where Lightning's like, oh, do you think that train's still running? And Hope's like, if it isn't, we'll make it run. And I'm like, oh, that's so good. And she's like, now you're thinking like a pulseless sea. And I love that scene. It's really good.
Does this train go up?
I was thinking about that. I was like, I don't know how you get a train to the center of Pulse, but
listen, I've been saying this. What is an elevator if not a vertical train?
Yeah, that's very true.
But
we can use some light rail technology.
Yeah.
But after the whole now you're thinking like a pulseless sea, Hope's kind of talking and says like, this is Operation Nora. Like he's really latching on to that, and it's getting a little old.
You can see also like Lightning is just like, oh
yeah, she's like, what monster have I created here? Like,
he's got a real birthday gift to grind.
Also, interestingly enough, in the English when he says, hey, he says, every minute we waste, we're tempting fate, right? Like he's like, why are you scoffing? Like you're the one that said we had to fight. Every minute we waste, we're tempting fate. In the Japanese, he says it's only a matter of time before we become monsters. And I think like that plays into the themes a lot here too, right? Like they're sort of transforming themselves into these monsters, these killing machines, right? To get their task done.
Right.
So it's kind of like this interesting play on words.
Yeah,
that is interesting.
And before talking about wasting time and tempting fate and all that, he does say it's not just snow I'm after. The Sanctum's got to pay too. So some of Lightning's words did get through to him. Not all of the ones of being like, hey, you shouldn't really blame Snow for that, but he, focus all of that hatred on the Sanctum, your actual enemy. And he's just like, yeah. Like as an afterthought, I'll also
yeah, totally. Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, it's not just Snow.
He says something and Lightning's just like, I have so many opinions about what you just said, but we do not have time to get into
it. she gives him the real side eye. She's like, yeah. She like does like the Marge like
this concerns me, but not enough to stop what I'm doing right now.
Yeah. But Hope basically says because he's from there, he knows like a bunch of tunnels that they can use. He says that there's like a drainage ditch nearby that you can jump into to be able to get past the guards.
It's like when you guys visit me in Brooklyn. I gotta show you all my favorite holes.
Kids love playing the sewers.
I'll show you all my favorite tunnels.
I can neither confirm nor deny that me and my older brother Eric Germ played in tunnels, sewer tunnels in that
the
like
famous
led into
Eric Germ?
Yeah, the famous Eric Germ. Yeah, when we were kids, we used to. There was a creek behind our house that had a giant like sewer access pipe that we, as dumb kids, were like, cool exploration, and like we went pretty deep into those tunnels. That was really not a good idea.
There's actually like an urban design and building design book that I read where he talks about like building in these little kind of nook places because kids love to clamber into these little spaces. And so you should build homes and like towns that have little hidey holes that like, because kids love those.
Yeah, so that way they're not just going into sewers like me and my dipshit brother, or like crawling into walls that then they can't get out of or something. Yeah. Like, yeah, that's a good point. But yeah, so kids used to play in these, and there's no way that the army could ever know about these tunnels, which we will find out to be very true somehow because it's very much is kind of on our critical path and very obvious.
Well, I like how, like Lightning agrees. She's like, okay, fine, let's go. And, Hope is really thrilled. He gets to actually be the leader, like a real leader, not just like playing leader like he was in the last zone, where this is his turf, and he gets to show Lightning like something, right?
Yeah.
And so it's kind of cute. And then there's this big pan up of like Palumpolum and the music swells. And I actually really love this shot, right? They reveal like how big this place actually is. It's like our first town, but it's like a city, like a huge city.
I mean, yeah, it's a big shopping district. What's the shopping district in Tokyo? It's a metropolis.
It's like like Akihabara or like Shinjuku or something. Like it's these. But so also the data logs talk about like, because this is a whole world that's of like online shopping, and Palumpolum is a place that the government specifically encourages brick and mortar retail as tourism. So like it's one of the only places where there's like markets that you can walk and like buy goods from a human being.
I wonder if that's like kind of a luxury thing, because there's a lot of like high rise, like it's almost seems like a novelty.
Well, I mean, think about like Fifth Avenue, New York City, like all the stores there. The store is not there to like sell a lot of goods and make a profit. They're there for like branding. Like it's like Gucci and Dolce & Gabbana and like all this stuff. Like, you know, they're like there to be on Fifth Avenue so that
it's
you
like
see
King
them.
of Prussia in Pennsylvania. Like King of Prussia is basically just the business center that surrounds the mall, which is like not the Mall of America size, like big, but it's the biggest mall in the country in terms of retail space. But this also reminds me
they have a big Sam Ash there.
I cannot go into full detail on it in today's episode. I feel like it could honestly be probably a whole separate episode of just a complete fucking tangent, like as if this podcast wasn't just that anyway. But there is a mall in North Jersey, pretty close to MetLife Stadium, called the American Dream Mall.
Oh my gosh,
which
yeah.
is the weirdest fucking place I've ever been in my entire life. And there's two sections of it. Friend of the show, Dave from Daycare Dittos, kind of showed us around there because he lives in that area. And there's the luxury wing where there's like valet parking and like the really nice like parking structure, and then there's just like the regular side of the mall. There's an amusement park in there and stuff, but like
I was gonna say there's the side of the mall that's the SpongeBob theme park.
he was talking about how he went into like the luxury entrance by accident and saw like all these armed guards, and he's like, I swear they can probably smell on me that I'm poor, and they'll just like be like looking to just kill on sight, like if I make one wrong
You just
move.
hear the sound of jack boots like busting into someone's face.
But the weird thing about this mall is that it was in development for like 20 years or something, and then they finally opened it. It was this big thing, this big grand opening at the beginning of 2020, and it has just been hemorrhaging money ever
2020
since.
vision, baby.
My friend of mine, Ursula, who's a very cool person, she works at a rare books library. She has been calling it a lich mall because it was never really alive, and it is not dead. It is a living dead mall. It is the lich mall.
That rules.
That's pretty good. I like
That's
that.
Palumpolum. They're already putting up the Spirit Halloween banners. The Guardian Corps is taking care of that right now. But
I realized while I was staring at this like screenshot of Palumpolum, capital of commerce, this is Tyson's Corner in the DC area. And I know you guys probably aren't super familiar with it, but it's a massive mall that they punched like the metro through and built 2 metro stops on either end of it. And then they built a bunch of like high-rise luxury condos on top of the mall. And it is this like sprawling, like hellish subterranean city now that like is a giant mall that you live at. And that's exactly what Palumpolum is. I'm just realizing it's staring at us.
oh God, dude, well, you heard it here first. Dystopia, it's already here, baby.
Okay, well, I mean, think about it, right? A world where everything's online retail, but there's these like small hubs of like subsidized brick and mortar for the fun, like historic, like tourism. Like we're absolutely on track for that, you know?
Oh, for sure.
Is there a giant underground chef that cooks everyone's food?
Well, I mean, it's too hot to live on the surface, so why not?
So I'm imagining in a couple of like years, maybe decades or something, they'll be bringing like pop-up Blockbuster Video style stores or something, and like, or like just shopping malls in general being like, oh look, it's like an amusement park thing. You can pretend like you're going shopping at a mall, which is what people used to do 30 years ago.
Dude, in Cincinnati, in one of the like more kind of like off to the side kind of neighborhoods, like a kind of rundown neighborhood, there is a like a used video store, right? Like a rent, like a kind of an off-brand Blockbuster.
Love it.
And you go in and there's like kind of there's a secret where if you pull the right video, the wall opens up and behind it is a movie themed speakeasy, like a bar that's like in the back of this like decrepit like movie bookstore, and it's like really cool, and they have like all these black and white movies playing and stuff.
That's my fucking dream. That is everything about that is so cool. I recently watched some documentaries about like mom and pop video shops that were like booming in like the 80s and into the 90s, and then just swiftly business was going down, and they were extremely depressing.
Oh yeah,
booming.
I remember
in
renting
the
a couple
90s.
things there at those places.
But yeah, this is where we get the line about, no more rivalries. Psycom has teamed up with Guardian Corps. And then we get control. And yes, like Curtis was saying, we can get into some fights.
Yeah, okay, so here's the thing. I didn't know. I was like, this seems like a Snake, like fucking Metal Gear Solid section. So I'm just not going to fight anybody. So I didn't. And I was like, I don't know if like, do you game over if you fight them? Do you have to fight them?
You can outrun most people.
Oh, no, I also had that same sort of thing where it's like it definitely seems like they're emphasizing these tunnels. It's like a part of the story and all of that. You can just kind of run through. Thematically, it would make sense if you sneak your way in. But I was also like, I need fucking experience. I need whatever I can get. I'm gonna fight these motherfuckers.
Same. I just slaughtered all these guys.
Yeah, you know what's worth fighting them for? They drop credit chips.
Oh my god, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, dude. So, and the fights aren't too difficult.
You know what happened to me though is like the cutscene finished, and I was like, okay, so I have to follow Hope because he's gonna lead me through this kind of labyrinth to this like drainage pipe, and Hope just like takes off, like just runs away. And I was like, wait!
He does, yeah.
And then so I chased after him right into like a group of guards. And I was like,
well, it's so funny. He'll run out like behind cover, like because I was trying to stealth it. So he'll run out behind cover and just stand in the middle of a group of soldiers, but they won't see him. And I'm like, Hope, come back!
Yeah, dude. He really sprayed up the Decepticol. That's fine.
That's true. Okay, you're fair
It's like
enough.
Axe body spray.
well, he's from Palumpolum,
exactly,
so he just looks like a local kid, and they're just like, "Get out of here, kid! We're looking for Lassie."
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually an interesting. Like, I guess, like, do they know what we look like yet?
Well, they were able to identify Snow just by looking at him.
Yeah.
I think they have like video from probably the hijacking or from when they attacked us in Lake Brescia and like all that. They definitely have photos.
I'm sure they kind of know what we look like.
Okay, 'cause I was gonna say, like, technically, like, if all we have is a brand, we could just walk in and be like, "Hey, nothing to see here."
Technically, every soldier who has like encountered us has been killed. So like, maybe no one's lived to tell the tale.
Exactly.
There's no witnesses.
Luckily, that one guy forgot to hang up his phone before getting absolutely murked by us. Actually, no, we didn't kill them.
They were already
Behemoth
dead.
did or whatever, right?
Who's gonna believe you, Carl?
I think it was Adrian.
Yeah, it might have been Adrian. But interestingly, the Guardian Corps forces are called the Corps Tranquifex, which I was reading that I was like, that's a pretty fucking dystopian name, like tranquility. But I'm like, well, if they're Guardian Corps, their main objective isn't like suppression of civilians necessarily; it's protecting civilians, So
Well, I think it's less tranquil and more tranquilize.
Tranquifex, the hot new drug that's hitting the streets.
I could see it honestly.
It's like fucking
Dude, you know I'm on that
cut
facts.
with cocaine.
But yeah, so like we basically get past them either through violence or stealthiness, and we get to a kind of a larger sewer entrance. Like we've kind of been going through, like Hope said, drainage ditches, but there's a larger entrance, right? That takes
big old drain.
Yeah, there's a couple like little curves and a couple little paths we can take to get some extra items. But we come out the other side, and we're in like a much larger area, right? Like we come out into like, we're still in like a pipe when we first come out of it, but it's huge in diameter. And this is where Hope's like, oh, they don't know about these entrances. And Lightning's like, yeah, it doesn't matter. They will find it. Like they'll find it, and then they'll call in a team to canvass the whole area, just being like, we are not safe here. And she asks Hope, she's like, where do these tunnels go? Like, where do they come out? And he's like, I actually don't know. And she's like, don't worry about it. We'll find out today.
This area is such a like tone shift, because you're like, oh yeah, we're about to go into the city. Like it's going to be, we're going through sewers, we're going to go through shops, and then we spit out into this huge facility.
I know that
in the sewers. I'm like, what the fuck is this place? What is this glowing
I know that
thing?
a lot of people who live in cities, they wonder where their poop goes after they poop it out. And we're going to tell you, this is what happens. This is where your poop goes when it starts going through the sewers. Because you're always like, where would it go? Is there some giant monster eating my poop? And yes, there is. And we find it down here.
Yes.
I like that in the sewers, one of the treasures that you can find is just like underneath a sewer grate, and you open it up and it's like, you got 3 holy water. I was like, is someone disposing of holy water? Is this where holy water comes from?
Holy water is pee.
No, they just pump the sewers of holy water, so all your poop is blessed.
You guys are getting it wrong. It's whole e-water. It's from everyone's hole.
Oh, okay,
of course.
yeah.
It's e-girl whole water, whole e-water.
Yeah. But yeah, it turns out that like underneath the city and down the sewers is just a giant cavernous expanse, like that does not have like well, I guess there are walkways. I don't know, how would you even describe it? It's not even like it's an expanse.
I would describe it by saying it's indescribable.
It's the Senate from the Star Wars.
Oh, it is
Yeah,
kind of like
there
the
you
Senate.
go.
You're right.
If you look closely, you can see E.T. Missed opportunity to put some gremlins in there, but I'll let Nick Lutzko tell you all about that.
There should have been gremlins in Jurassic Park.
I mean, it's really beautiful too. Like it's really really cool. Like
again like we kind of, just because we've been to inside like the vestige and other things, like this is like feels very holy in comparison to what a sewer should look like in terms of like architecture, and like there's glass floors, there's glowing orange, there's beautiful ornate like art on the walls.
A thing I really like about this game in general is that the Foul Sea are both gods and functional machinery to society. Yeah, it's a living. Yeah. So yeah, all these places that are like factories, like the Youre Gorge and places like that, they look like the thing that they are, like a power plant, or they look like in this case, this place is supposed to be a hydroponics garden, except you don't see any of the actual like greenery being grown. But they also look like sanctuaries or like cathedrals, because like these are gods as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's okay, on the topic of like cathedrals, it's kind of interesting. Like if you ever go to like a power plant or, any kind of like major institutional kind of like infrastructure in a major city, they are built like, especially old waterworks, like in legacy cities like Philadelphia and New York, they built them like kind of grandly, and like a lot of the waterworks, they have these beautiful architecture and stuff. So there is kind of this like shrine to public works kind of thing that exists in real cities. Think about like aqueducts and stuff. But
which I would say is cool as hell. But
it is cool.
Absolutely. That's
but
awesome.
also like we're exposed. This is like another instance of them showing like this duality of life on Cocoon. Right? You come to Palumpolum, and yeah, it's like weird. It's a fantasy city, but it looks like a human city to some extent.
Yeah,
maybe a little more mechanical than we'd like, but immediately we go under the ground and we see something that's completely alien. Like it's so inhuman. There's things floating around, and there's this weird like glowing thing in the center. It's completely unintelligible. Like it makes no sense to humans, and that's underneath the city that all the people live in. It's like, are we making connections here? Are we being, the game's not being subtle.
I keep forgetting how like normal this all is to the characters in the game, because I'm like, what the fuck is this place? And it's not until we're like already in it, it was like, oh, do you think they're gonna follow us? Like, no, man.
Me and my buddy Popcorn used to come down here all the time when we were kids. The Falsey used to rub the hair on my legs.
But we are walking around these like just very like beautiful walkways with orange glow. We're moving.
I also want to say one thing. When we enter and there's like the big vista of the huge room and the cliff, like lightning just like jackknifes off of the cliff and does like a front flip, and it's like so extra. Yeah. Like my roommate was watching and we both just cracked up. We couldn't stop laughing.
Lightning is definitely a maximalist when it comes to any kind of like motion.
How does Hope get down there? Because like it's a deep drop. Like Lightning does her cool flip and shit, but it's always funny. Oh, do we say what this place is called?
Does it say when we enter?
Yeah, it's the Nutriculture, I think.
Yeah, Nutriculture Complex.
Yeah.
Wow. So nutriculture, I'm guessing that means they grow nutrients.
Yeah, I think there's data logs on it as well.
There is, yeah.
In the cutscene right after, you look back and there's no like staircase back up to where they were. Like this place is not OSHA, okay? It's not accessible
in this
at
world.
all.
OSHA does not exist in this world whatsoever. But yeah, Lightning's kind of just talking about how like, yeah, Hope's confident that they don't know about these tunnels and everything, but like they will find it. Like this is a serious mobilization of the military, and they'll be canvassing the area and they will get through. Like, good plan on Hope's part, but it's not necessarily gonna last.
So like we were saying about like kind of like how inhuman it is too, there is a mechanic to this area which is like turning switches to cause floating platforms to go different directions. And there is no logic to how they work, really. Like, there's a logic, like, after you do it a couple times and you see, like, oh, okay, turning this switch makes this go here or whatever. But, like, in real life, though, this is, like, the worst, like, system for doing this. Because, how do any of these switches work?
This is basically a cloister of trials for it's a much less important.
It's a cloister of trials with like only one way forward and no puzzle.
Yeah, but the puzzle is just learning what the fuck you need to do.
I think the puzzle is getting the extra items or whatever, because there's 2 or 3 branching paths that we can take here by flipping these switches at the beginning of the platforms in different ways. So we can
these
take
are switches
them to,
that we've seen before. They're very weird. They're very stylized. Like I don't even know really how to describe them. Like,
yeah.
They look like a new type of playing card, like symbol. Like not quite. It's like a spade, but on 2 sides.
A really flat spade.
Yeah, it's definitely like original edition Pokemon card like style for sure.
Yeah.
I will also say that the platforms, they're hollow discs with these like tiled glass over top, and I was thinking, like, I don't know, maybe they also function as like cargo, like freight, like that they move plants or something. Like,
I was wondering,
it's kind of some interesting world building that, it's gone in a flash, but like I'm looking at it again now, and it's like they really detailed like the whole thing, and it's this big bulbous like hollow glass disc. Like, it's got to be doing something.
It's also kind of interesting when you get on it, like not as like a lore perspective or anything like that, but they're so large that when you stand on them, I just immediately lose sense of direction. Like, I can't even tell that they're moving, that they're so large, until I see the mini map showing me that I am moving.
I mean, maybe, it's a little reaching, but it's like a microcosm of Palumpolum, right? Like, we're on the surface, but there's like all this space underneath, like it's this like, and it's pointing us at this like, look underneath you, like look at what's under the surface kind of thing. I don't know.
We're through the looking glass.
Literally.
Yeah, I mean, the game's really meta with that, because it's very hard to look underneath the surface of anything because of how weird the
It's so hard.
At one point, I took one of these elevators and, like, I went, like, up to get to some of the, like, hidden chests or whatever, but I left Hope behind, and I was trying so hard to just look down and see what he was doing down there, but it was, like, it was done in a way, like, it almost felt intentional by the developers to make sure you can't see that. Like, you know how some games have a locked camera so that, like, they can get away with having like low poly models or whatever.
Yeah.
It almost felt like that, but just like completely like not on purpose.
You know what else is down here and it owns?
Oh yeah, I know what you're gonna say.
We actually heard it on Corey's mic a few minutes ago.
Did we?
Yeah, the nice little siren.
Oh, indeed, that is what I'm going to talk about.
Would it perhaps be Zwanzig's favorite enemy in the game?
Is it?
Yes, it is.
Ooh, I like them too. I like them a lot.
So we saw our nice biological spicy flan.
We saw the habanero pepper flan. Right?
Now we get to see the working class flan. We get to see the humble flanator.
The flanator,
which is part janitor and also for some reason part cop.
Yeah.
Is it okay? So I thought it was an ambulance because it heals itself.
Oh, that makes way more sense.
Maybe I don't know. I don't know.
I hear sirens. Listen, I hear sirens. I don't want to find out if it's an ambulance.
Yeah,
all genders deserve healthcare.
This is Palumpolum's healthcare system.
To be fair, it's much more effective than ours.
Yeah,
you just have some kind of
very annoying.
It's like, what if we didn't actually provide a single pair? What if we just give everyone a cool helmet?
Dude, you know, something bad happens, the fucking flanator just comes out and fixes you up by swiping its hands.
No, you know
around.
what? It's mutual aid because they heal each other.
It really is. It really is. This just looks like a Futurama character. Like, it looks like the horrible gelatinous blob, except if he was like, and like healing people instead of eating them with a cute little helmet with a siren on it. These things
there's a couple cool battles with them. My favorite one is the one where you fight 3 at the same time, and they're so busy healing each other that you can't like do damage. Like, they're not attacking you and you're not getting hit, but like you just it's hard to pump out enough damage to actually take them down because they just keep healing each other.
What I also love about these guys is that if you go to your data log, they are the image for Guardian Core.
Really?
Yeah. It had to be some glitch or something. I have no idea.
It's like, why would they put the logo for Guardian Core over it? Like, here they are, the Flanator.
I was gonna say, they make up the backbone of the Guardian Core.
So they are cops.
So also in this environment, there's a lot of like either steam or fog or something, right? And like I feel like, it feels kind of like a greenhouse, right? Like there's all this water.
Yeah.
I imagine it's really steamy and like warm, like it's like a rainforest kind of climate.
It's from all the poop and pee.
And well, yeah, I mean, the water is like actually running down the walls in some parts, and I imagine that's kind of where like a lot of the growing might be happening. It's just kind of like low texture.
Hydroponics.
Yeah.
It's just
Making
really
that
cool.
dank.
I also love how flippantly
Saz would hate it here.
Hope is like, yeah, this is like the food production center. It's just like, oh,
Yeah.
This is like a tour of like, the Ben Jerry's factory. Like, this is like those pipes go up there. That's where the dairy free one goes through.
we know that like every day, like people go there on school trips and stuff. Like, yeah, this, like we were saying, this is super mundane for them. It's just like how is bread made? Let's find out.
Yeah. It's not quite as fun as going to the Hershey factory, but still pretty cool.
Speaking of making the food, though, there
The
is
Hershey
like
FFXIII.
yeah. Well, there is like a giant machine creature in the center of this area, right?
Glowing.
It looks awesome.
Definitely looks like an idol.
Yeah, it's like
looks great.
there's a giant orange crystal around which rotates two like stone faces, right?
They love faces. They love to
love
put like
faces.
uncanny faces on these
It's like
guys.
a mask.
But I mean, the thing about it too is it's like we saw one of these faces straight up screaming.
Yeah, we did.
So I don't even know if it's just decorative,
Maybe that's the alarm system on this one.
Once again, two faces. Keep that in mind, right? Like,
Those
they're
faces.
really going in for the duality in this zone.
But yeah, so Hope kind of comes up to it and he's like, oh, that's the city's food production fallacy. His name's Carbuncle. And I was like, Carbuncle, my boy, he's back in this game too.
Hell yeah. I think we haven't done a game with a carbuncle in it.
Is
so
that
far.
true?
I think it's true, yeah. To the
Alright.
best of
That
my
can't
knowledge,
be
there's
true. Is
no
that true?
carbuncle in Dirge of Cerberus.
I have to look it up because you may be right, but I'm just like,
Yeah, because I don't think there's one in Final Fantasy 1.
There's only one. 7 remake is like the closest.
I think it
we've
was a
come.
big part of 15 as well.
Made his first appearance in 5. So yeah, we missed it.
wow, yeah, it's like every one of them that has Carbuncle are the ones that we haven't done. Oh man, wow!
I can't wait for our carbuncle arc, starting with this one. Hint for next
the
season.
year of Carbuncle. We just do like 3 games in a row, real quick.
Much like the year of Luigi, it is our
was
worst
thinking the year of
financial
Luigi.
year of the podcast.
Yo, I don't buy all that Zodiac shit.
Oh yeah, do you think people ask like if they have a
What fal'Cie are you?
yeah, the Cocoon Zodiac is like what fal'Cie you are. There's probably a lot more options.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
But
We'll have to pick that for everyone at the end of the season.
I think Hope says this. I think he's kind of just musing about it, but he's like, "Hey, that's one of our enemies, since it is part of the Sanctum." And Lightning's like, "Oh, we could kill him and cut off the food supply. I'm sure that'll make us popular." And Hope's like,
that'll really piss off the kids.
"Yeah." And Hope's like, "I think people have enough reason to hate us already." And she's like, "Yeah, you're probably right. Hungry people make for angry people." And they kind of just move on, which I appreciate that they just. They mused about it for a second. Wouldn't that be funny if? And then we're like,
Yeah.
nah.
Unless
That's true. Yeah,
Wouldn't it be
unless.
funny if we clogged the Suez Canal, cutting off all kind of supply chain?
What if we kissed while destroying the Carbuncle fal'Cie?
Unless,
Yeah. But then there's another cutscene that pretty much follows right after that, right?
yeah. We do get a primer about a new status that can be inflicted on people, which is the hangry status. Which if you do kill Carbuncle, then their strength goes up like insane. Basically berserk.
Hungry, the horniness of the stomach.
you guys also just run by these like electric scale beasts.
Oh, no, I fought them.
those, and I
They're
was
actually
very,
way
very
easier.
nervous. Yeah, the target time for them for me was like 1 minute and 22 seconds or something. So like I actually got really afraid. Something funny happened on the first one. I got really afraid. I didn't get the best start, and I thought it was going to be the same sort of thing as the last Scale Beast that we fought, especially because they were like, if you're using 2 people, don't fight these things. I was like, well, I'm using 2 people now. I immediately was just like, fuck this, I'm gonna retry. And when I was repositioned after the retry, I was standing right on top of its spawn point and just immediately preemptive struck it and killed it in like 5 seconds. And I was like, new speed strat, let's go. And then I was not able to do that on any of the other fights.
So these scale beasts are a lot easier than the old scale beasts. The thing is, they only have 1 attack, and it does a lot of damage. It does about 1/3 of your health. Mm-hmm. But if you have Hope cast Protect, it only does like 1/5 your health, and they can only cast it like once every ATB fill or so. So if you just make sure to like keep medic up, there's nothing they can really do. And when you stagger these ones, they go down in like one stagger. So it's not like a big to do like the old ones were.
Yeah.
You just have to be very conscious that their one attack that they can do that is slow does a shitload of damage.
Are they supposed to be the analog for like alligators in the sewers? Someone flushed a baby scale beast down the toilet.
Now they're the teenage mutant ninja scale beasts.
Yeah, you can get a segmented carapace from it.
Which there's been a lot of at least for me, my upgrade equipment right now has very, very few beast parts to it. Like I have a lot of technology parts and very, very few organic material. So like every time I can find organic material, I'm like, oh thank God.
I wish I was better at drawing so I could do a really detailed, nice drawing of Lightning's kick-ass gunblade and then just draw on it like a bunch of fucking like weird like horns and just like leather like just taped to it. Put like a star next to it, just like bunch of fiber optic cables hanging off of it.
Just hanging out of it. Yeah.
We did get another. I didn't look at the description of it, but I liked the name of it. Some material called the Mobius coil, and I was like, dude, Morbius is in this game.
Have sex. Have sex. Mobius joke for all my Mob heads out there.
Oh, Mobius. Yeah. Good. We love Mobius.
See you next week. All right, so there's a cutscene that plays pretty much right after this too. I think it might be on like the same walkway. Hope and Lightning kind of have a conversation about these fal'Cie, right? Like Hope's like,
look at us, Pulse l'Cie, using a sanctum fal'Cie to tell where we're going. Sort of strange.
Not really. We've relied on them our whole lives. The food we eat, the light and water, it's all from the fal'Cie. You know, I think Cocoon was really built for them. The rest of us, we're just leeches, parasites.
You think? They protect us, nurture us. They take care of, well, normal people. They treat us like we're special. Almost like we're pets.
and like when he says that, Lightning has like a oh my god moment. Like she like does the 1,000-yard stare and is like,
prophecy is true.
Yeah, and then like it kind of all comes together for her, right? And she's like, oh my god, that is what is happening. Like we're just pets to them. We're just fun things to have around, because why else would they be doing all this stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's funny too, like in the Japanese read, Hope is much more pleased with himself for figuring this out, where he's like pets. Like he's like, so he's like that's what it is, and then she's like, oh no.
Yeah, Lightning has an existential crisis over it.
She
goes
does.
From being like kind of eco-fashy, being like we're just parasites and leeches on the planet, like to being like, oh shit, we're pets.
Well, and it's funny because she actually does have an existential crisis upon realizing that like the humans are just pets to them, because this whole thing that she's doing right now where she's like going after Eden and everything, she kind of explains, she says here, she's like, I was born into a fal'Cie world and raised on the fal'Cie's leash. It's the only life I knew how to live. So when she became a Pulse l'Cie, she was entirely lost. And she says here, she's like, yeah, I didn't have anything I could do. Like I'm now outside of the only system that's ever existed for me. So the only thing I could think to do is to go fight Eden. And like, and she's kind of like, she starts to back off from that idea here, because she's like, I'm still not in control of my life, because now I'm just like a rabid animal kind of like flailing wildly, because I don't have my fal'Cie keepers to like take care of me anymore. And so at this point she kind of comes together and she's like, I am just running away actually, even though I am running toward a goal and I have like a thing I want to do, like I'm not in control of my own life right now. And she even like looks at Hope and is like, you got swept along with me. Like, this is my fault that you're here and everything. Like, we're going on this crazy death drive, and it's my fault that you're like this now. And Hope's like, what are you saying? Like, what are you talking about? And she's like, Hope, Operation Nora is over. And he's like, what? He like can't believe it. And he's like, you told me to fight. And she's like, yeah, but I made a mistake. Like, we shouldn't be doing this. And he's just super pissed. He's like, you can't build something up like that and then just abandon me. And she's like, I won't abandon you. And like, it's a really good scene.
Yeah,
that's so good.
She goes even further and just says like, I won't. She emphasizes it. She's like, I will not be abandoning you, which is a uncharacteristic of her from what we've learned so far. It's like she's done a full 180, a full 360, if you will.
So there's a couple things that like occur to me in like reviewing that, right? Like one is she realized that she was raised, serving her masters, and this game begins with her, I can't remember if we actually get to the day, the flashback day yet, but she quits the Guardian Corps, and she was a military soldier, and then she quits the Guardian Corps, and that's like this, this like metaphor for what's happening to her in terms of being branded as like a lessee, a pulse lessee, that there's this severing where she was like following orders, and now she's a Ronin, basically. She's like loose, and then she also talks about as long as I was fighting, nothing else was real. And I think like there's something really interesting to unpack there. I mean, for me, sometimes when things are stressful, you just kind of keep going, and you just try not to slow down enough to think about like what's going on. But you do know in the back of your mind that like eventually you're gonna have to like acknowledge all this stuff, right? And the further you go at that rate, the harder it is to take your foot off the accelerator. That's why meditation is really nice, because you can practice that. But anyway, also like for the people of Cocoon, they're being fed this story about their enemy, right? Like, oh, we have to like the Pulse Menace has to be destroyed. And
that tabloid crap, as Saz would put it.
Yeah, and it prevents the people of Cocoon from seeing like any other way of things being.
Yeah,
right?
that's
like,
true.
That story keeps them from seeing the reality around them.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I actually didn't even think of it in that way, that like the general populace is also a victim of the same thing, like that Lightning's feeling right now. She's just, I guess, outside of it far enough now that she can take a moment or whatever and look and be like, oh my God, like.
Yeah, she's been fully radicalized.
Yeah.
My God, what have I done?
This is not my beautiful wife.
Water does flowing underground.
Water is literally flowing underground, y'all. We are through the looking glass. Same as it ever was.
There's another scene that comes up like as we're getting ready to leave the area. There's not too much to the left of the area, right? Like, is there anything else we wanted to say about the?
I think just more of those chests. You can get a warding talisman, which also has it's got two features. It can raise your strength by plus 28 and also resists curse. It's got like a 30% resist out the bat, which curse I believe is the opposite of vigilance.
Okay.
So pretty much a debuff or neutralizer kind of thing.
It debuffs attack, I'm guessing.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
It'll make you weaker and basically the opposite of what vigilance does for you.
Sounds good. As we're going up the steps more, we make a left turn. I think we see the lift, the elevator, I guess, or something.
The vertical train. I've been saying this.
The up. It's the up train.
Up train.
We take the one last glass disc flying saucer up there.
You just take a funicular and you just keep increasing the grade until it's a 90-degree angle.
I just recently learned what that was. We
got to ride a funicular sometime, Curtis. We got to make it happen.
I'm ready.
Those are the diagonal ones, right?
Yeah, they used to have them in Cincinnati. They do have one in L.A.
I couldn't remember what Vigilance did. We were talking about it or whatever, but it basically like curse ruins your poise. That was what Vigilance did, right? It like
yeah,
curse.
That's right.
Do you say Curtis?
Curtis does ruin my poise. Whenever I see him, I just like fall apart because he's such a sweetie.
Vigilance is the thing that Saz would cast, where he would cast it on people who were like weren't. It didn't make any sense to, but it lets you kind of break through their stagger a lot better, I think, right?
Right, yeah. And curse means like you'll get your shit interrupted all the time. Like when you're attacking, if you get hit, it just like cuts you off.
Yeah, I think I was confusing it with bravery.
No, I think you were right. Like it is the opposite of vigilance.
Yeah.
I just couldn't remember what Vigilance did.
Yeah, I thought Vigilance was bravery when I was.
Yeah.
This fucking game and its words.
Man. It's fucking weird ass words, yeah.
But I guess we're heading towards this red waypoint, as Hope said. Like one thing I don't like about this game is that when a character points out something, the camera doesn't like
go to it.
Go to like tell you like, oh hey, that's the thing we should go for.
Sure, yeah.
Because like, hey, we can use that as a waypoint. I'm like, what are you talking about? Please point to something. I need to like.
When they said,
I mean, it's a hallway. I'm not gonna get lost, but still, like, what are you referring to?
When they said waypoint, I thought they meant the fal'Cie. I thought they meant carbuncle.
Figure it's spinning. If it wasn't spinning, it'd be a way better like
also
way to orient yourself.
This zone like really started to feel like a grind for me near the end of it. It's the second time in a row that like a lightning and hope area has kind of felt really grindy, and I think it has a lot to do with like being in these big spaces, but with like a single path that you can take, and like the context of that single path being inside of a big space. It just feels like so limiting, right? Like I can see the enemy up there. I'm gonna have to fight them, and it's just like you run a little and you fight, and you run a little and you fight, and then it's a cutscene, and you run a little and you fight. And it's just like, oh my god.
In comparison to the last one, I will say that there's like a total of like 8 battles down here. Like so, like even though there is nothing outside of that really, and I agree with you 100%. It at least is over quickly.
Yeah, it's not too much, but I was just like, I remember just being like, is this all there is?
Yeah. There's only like 2 enemy types.
Existential moment.
Yeah. I'm just a pet for this game.
Well,
I exist to serve
you know
the
what's funny is like
system.
we talk about how like there's different setups of enemies, and that's what keeps it interesting or whatever. But like down here, there's only 2 enemies. There's the Flanders and the Scale Beast. So you get an option of like a battle with a Flanders, a battle with 2 Flanders, a battle with 3 Flanders, and one time on an extra platform over in the side, you can fight a Flanders and a Scale Beast. And that's like the most interesting fight.
They're roommates.
They're roommates.
They're very good friends.
The most interesting fight in the whole game is the 3 Flanders, because the entire time you're fighting, their sirens are just going off like crazy.
It's so good.
It's so funny.
I
actually had to do that fight twice.
Did you really?
Yeah, my roommate did not like it when I was playing that part of the game.
I had to go through that twice because I had to backtrack to try and get a bunch of the items and stuff.
Okay.
So I like made my way down to that other fight, and by the time I got back, the 3 Flanders were there, and I was just like, okay, here we go again. More wee whoops.
And I will say that Lightning and Hope pretty much I don't think they have. Do they have a new Crystarium section for this? Because I remember at the end of this, all of my characters are pretty much maxed out. I'm just like, well.
I do remember that I was trying to level up at some point, and then for some reason, my capture card just fucking busted and killed my audio. And it was a very scary moment of just being like the screen kind of went green and shifted a little bit. And I was like, oh my God, I was just trying to level Hope up. Like, is that. Should I not have done that? Thought I was in like a creepy pasta of like the game haunting me or something.
Once you hit max level, you stop leveling.
Then we get to some really bad dialogue, in my opinion. I'm interested to see what the Japanese is and if it lands.
Oh yeah,
better.
no, this scene in Japanese, it really affected me. Like I thought it was one of the best scenes in the game so far.
Because we kind of just see Hope, milling around. He's directionless now at this point because his whole operation, his whole like reason for living at this point was just told like, no, you can't do that. Actually, he says, so what do we do now? We're l'Cie, ticking time bombs, enemies of Cocoon. If we can't follow the plan, do we just lay down and die? Lightning says, I didn't mean we should give up. And Hope goes on and says, then what battles do we fight? And against who? Tell me that. Lightning's like, I don't fucking know, dude. And he's like, you don't even know?
You're the adult.
Yeah.
Well, the whole point is like, even she's realizing like, oh, I'm just serving a new master. You know, I thought I was taking the fight to the Sanctum, but no, I'm just serving the interest of my pulse fal'Cie now. Like, so that's why she's so lost. Is like, even like Operation Nora, sure, that was always bullshit, right? But like, even fighting the Sanctums, like, is she really choosing to do that? Like, that's the thing that she's struggling with.
Right.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, it's like originally, I'm gonna go to Feet Eat, and like, I don't take orders from fal'Cie, and then coming down here, like, well, everything eventually goes back to the fal'Cie, no matter who you're fighting for.
And so for Hope, you know,
I may just be taking orders from a different fal'Cie for all I know.
And it's also, that's very Final Fantasy VII, without spoiling too much for anyone who hasn't listened to that season. Like, there's a big thing about like, oh, are you really choosing to do this stuff? I don't know. But anyway, like,
illusion of
Hope
choice
is like, the question he asks is, oh, okay, well, who do I fight? Tell me. Like, tell me who to fight. Like, he's so like lost in this like tunnel vision of this story of like, you have to destroy your enemy. You know, that's the only thing that's going to keep you moving forward. But like, what does it even mean to move forward?
Right. Yeah.
Like, what is forward? Right. That's so he's like struggling with even the context of the question.
Yeah. And here's the part that I think is bad dialogue, where Lightning says, "That's right, I don't know yet, but I do know we can't lose Hope." And Hope says, "Hope? There is no hope, not for LaCie." And Lightning says, "There's you." Like, "Oh, your name's Hope." Oh, and he goes,
I don't know. I thought that was cute.
it's my name, not who I am. I thought that was kind of lame, but it does get tied up in a nice way with Lightning talking about this, where she says, "I was just like you. My parents died. I had to be strong for Sarah, so I thought I needed to forget the past, and I became Lightning. I thought that by changing my name, I could change who I was. I was just a kid, Lightning. It flashes bright, then fades away. It can't protect, it only destroys. Sarah tried to tell me, but I wouldn't listen." And then we see...
She sees like a fucking force ghost of Sarah.
I'm guessing, is this like part of the focus?
Well, wait, before we get into it, because that line is so good. Like, lightning, it flashes and destroys. It can't protect anything. Or it flashes and is gone in an instant. Like I was just like, holy shit, that's like
really
so
good.
powerful, you know?
I really like that, but I the whole part of it just being like, hey, here's why the devs named this character Hope. It's like, you can name that fucking character anything.
Yeah,
so
okay.
Like, Hope, but making the character named Hope become a character that has no hope. Okay, I've praised this game for its lack of subtlety in the past, and in this one, I'm like, all right, maybe not so much there.
I'll give him a pass on it because like the Hope's just like, yeah, it's just my name. It's not really a thing. You know what I mean? Not that I think that's the developers trying to be whatever.
No, I mean, in the Japanese, he says, "I wish I could throw this name away." Like he
right.
like
that's much
really,
fucking cooler.
Yeah.
My mom went to America for like a week, and then
So Lightning says the same thing, right? Like, I thought the same thing. And then she talks about her name, right? And like, I thought,
he should just call himself Max. He should be like Max Scoville,
Max Powers
from IGN. Who, his real name is Julien because his mom was in France and was very affected and was like, Julien is such a beautiful name. He's like, I don't want to be called fucking Julien, and he really liked Mighty Max, so he named himself Max instead.
I was thinking about The Simpsons. He could become Max Powers, the man with the
Max
name
Powers,
you'd love to touch, but you mustn't touch.
And so I think it's, I mean, does she get to like her nickname yet? Have we gotten to that part of the cutscene? Like, where she,
no.
What, Lightning?
Yeah.
This is where
it flashes bright and
no, like that she like tells him to call her Light, and that like they don't
She did
acknowledge
that a while ago.
Yeah, that was
okay. Yeah, so they don't acknowledge that, right? But like I love that like she hasn't given up on the name Lightning, but she kind of changes it, right? Light doesn't just flash and vanish.
Yeah,
Light sticks around.
Yeah.
Light protects.
Pure.
You know, like it's really, really cool.
Yeah, see, which when you take that and how cool that is, it makes the Hope thing even lamer to me.
Well, they should have made his name longer.
Yeah.
They should have just made his last name Lester, and then he's like, well, my name is actually Hope Less.
Hope's what people who don't know call me. You just call me Ho.
Yeah, I was going to make that joke. God damn it.
But yeah, with the full Force Ghost, so she's reminiscing on like what?
She's reminiscing on Sarah, yeah.
Is it a reminiscence or is it a focus thing? I guess it's not like black and white. It's kind of just transparent.
Kind of, it seems like a clash of memories because
it's like an imagination.
Because we see Sarah kind of like being very like, oh, there you are, and then we like hear Lightning's voice. If you really are LaCie, it's my job to deal with you.
Yeah, and Sarah says typical and
but she's talking to off screen of like to Snow though, because she's thinking about herself but not realizing like, oh, I wasn't listening, but Snow did listen.
Yes,
right.
I mean,
right.
Think about this, right? Like, it's her and her sister, and they're like, there's a distance between them, and Snow is the one that bridges that distance. Like, we have this wide shot where he's walking where Lightning couldn't. You know, like he's the one that actually stepped out to like embrace her.
It kind of seems to me like where she's admitting that like she wasn't there, and then it kind of shows that like her absence of being there for Sarah is kind of what lets Snow into the picture in some ways. So I kind of feel like she like drove Sarah into Snow or whatever.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I think it's like she's recognizing that Snow stepped up, you know, and that she was wrong about him, and she was the one that was
realizing
wrong.
it as well as seeing it kind of in this weird real time kind of thing.
And then we get the melodramatic version of the lightning theme, and it just tears. It's so good.
Oh yes, the Lightning's theme, but it's basically blinded by light, but it's like just kind of a quartet in a
God,
piano.
it's like it pushes every button for me. It's so good.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically the one from the Prada ad or whatever, or Gucci, I forget.
I really like how while this is all going on and Lightning's like reminiscing, like, fuck, dude, like when she needed me most, the only thing I did was threaten her. And, and we see Snow coming because like we think that
when
Sarah
the world needed me most, I vanished.
But I believe light can still save the world. But we see Sarah, and it looks like the ghost is interacting with her, but it's actually Snow who comes in from like this other part. And it's funny that Sarah's just like, oh, there you are, like, come on, Slowpoke, you're falling behind. I'm like, that's also fitting because it did take Snow a little bit to get to helping her. Like there was a bit of that Slowpoke thing, just a little bit, because he was immediately just like, oh no, I'm gonna help her no matter what.
And she's and like Lightning's kind of had a full come around, like a full realization here, right? Like actually, she hasn't had an actualization, right, about this. And she says the only one who believed her was Snow, and Hope just like immediately was like, don't say his fucking name.
Read the fucking room, Hope. We get it. You don't like Snow.
I told you, bro. I told you not to bring it up, bro.
I told you about those snows, bro.
Yeah, we get it. You're every person who's played this game that's not me, apparently. You don't like Snow.
This isn't about you, buddy. Well, I guess it kind of is.
Yeah, but
she's trying to.
I mean, also, Hope just says, like, it brings everything back. I keep playing it in my head what happened to her. So I can't really fault Hope for being triggered by his name, because he just thinks of his fucking goofy smile. Like, yeah, I see his stupid face and he's smiling. And I'm like, understandable for him.
Yeah.
How can he smile when she's
literally
dead?
how my friends describe me.
Yeah, and he kind of like he argues with himself a little bit about it, where he's like, I know that there's nothing I can do about it, and I hate knowing that. No matter what happens, she's not coming back. But when I was fighting, there was no time to think about it, which me and Corey are both doing finger guns at each other. But now you start talking about Hope. I'm sorry, I'm messed up, and I wrote down in my notes, I'm so fucked up.
Fuck yes, I love you, Chris. Oh my god.
But no, Lightning's just like, no, like it's my fault. Like she realizes that the worst qualities of her that she is now coming to terms with in real time and having this crisis over, she's like, I just fucking pushed that onto you. Like I projected that all onto you in your moment of vulnerability. Like that. Don't be like me.
What's that? I pushed all my trauma into like a younger version of myself and fucked them up.
A young, impressionable version of myself.
How could this have happened?
I think that this does make Lightning a very good, like, I would kind of call her the main character of the story or whatever. Because I think like 13 a lot of times gets a lot of crap for being like very melodramatic or like goofy, nonsensical maybe. But like I feel like Lightning does take a very logical progression to her character arc in a way that I'm like, yeah, okay, she is the character that we're playing as. You know what I mean? Like she's the main character of the story.
It's very real. Like
and I feel like with this scene here, it's kind of like, okay, we're now powered up Lightning, where it's like, okay, she doesn't quite know what she's gonna do yet, but she's like taken on a little bit of a new role, or is at least looking for a new role.
I'm gonna do something.
Yeah. I'm gonna do something I should have done a long time ago. You don't know, do you? No, ma'am. But yeah, so as they get on the elevator, we're talking about there's the upward train at the end, the little elevator at the end of this area, and there's another small.
It's a handy little elevator. It's funny that I'm guessing this is the entrance, because otherwise.
Oh sure, yeah, good point.
I assume people don't enter through the sewer because nobody knows about that one.
And there's no steps or ladder back up.
The anxious look on Hope's face when he's about to enter this elevator is exactly how I feel every time I'm about to go into Penn Station.
But Lightning tells him,
talk to your dad.
What? Why?
Fighting without hope is no way to live. It's just a way to die.
Mwah. Oh,
very good.
Come on.
Which I feel like does echo a little bit about what she's talked about before or whatever, where she's like, no, having a mission is how I'm choosing to live. Like, I'll die, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to live the way I want. But now she's like, you know what? Is that really living? Maybe it's not.
Yeah.
But she says, I want you to find the hope that you were named for. Staying alive, I can help you with, but I can't give you hope. if you go see your father, and he's like, what do you think? Maybe my dad will make anything better? He's never listened to a word I've said. He'll never believe this Lassie
You think
stuff.
acknowledging my daddy issues is going to help me heal or something?
Yeah. And he says basically, he's like, my dad isn't going to believe me. I'm going to tell him that I'm a Lassie, and he's not going to believe any of it. And then he like thinks about it for a moment, and he says, Snow believed Sarah, didn't he? And Lightning's like, yeah. And that's the end of the scene. And I was like, oh, mwah, mwah,
Lightning's
mwah,
like,
mwah.
you're going to keep bringing that up?
Well, no, I like the way he did it because here's the thing. Even at his worst time, like even at the earliest, right? Like the very, very first time Lightning mentions to Hope, like, hey, Snow didn't kill your mom or whatever. He's like, I know that. He like knows it from the beginning. He's like, yeah, I know that he didn't personally do it. But like, he is in some ways responsible, and my anger needs to go somewhere. And so, like, that's the best venue I have.
I need to put this anger in something tangible. So I'm going to just latch onto this, and I'm not going to let it go. Because if I let it go, then I have to come to terms with a bunch of other shit that I don't want to.
Yeah. And
so I can just be tunnel visioned.
You're right.
And it does feel like his realization of that is kind of, it's becoming more full. He's still not, like, off of his vengeance quest by any means, but, like, his understanding of, like, how people interact with each other and who this guy is and yada yada yada.
And
like,
I think you're right that moment where it like Hope says Snow believes Sarah, right? And Lightning acknowledges it. I think you're right in that it's this moment where both of them are simultaneously acknowledging that they were wrong about something, you know?
Yeah. And
yeah.
they have such similar arcs in the story as well that it's very cool how it's like the Venn diagram is becoming, you know, more of a concentric
It's so
circle.
cathartic.
Yeah,
like it's this scene, I mean, like I felt so many emotions going into it. It's like it's this great like just denouement of like this act. I don't know, it's great. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, luckily, Hope will probably have a lot of time to come to terms with his feelings towards Snow. He won't be thrown into any kind of situation where he just has to
smooth sailing,
you know, like,
right to Hope's home bedroom, you know, and they just
Absolutely.
talk to the dad, and
they're gonna talk it out.
Yeah, they talk to the Eden.
So.
Snow's gonna come in. They're gonna talk it out. They're gonna hug it out. It's gonna be fine.
Yeah, since we're coming up on the shop where they have the good mozzarella sticks and this nice little scene with Hope's dad, I feel like this is probably a good place to take a break.
I think
Nothing
so.
but blue skies ahead of us. So
That's right.
Seems like a good place to let our guard down, even just for a second.
All right.
Sounds good.
See you in a sec. Blue skies, you say?
Yes.
Smooth sailing, you say?
It's a lovely day in Palumpolum.
It's a lovely day in Palumpolum, sports fans.
Nothing could possibly go wrong.
I mean, it is a very it's a very NFL intro scene, right? When they come with all
it
the
is. It is.
What a strange entrance to the food Fal'Cie chambers, because it looks like we just come up on like just a normal like square in the middle of town.
Yeah, extremely poor wayfinding for this elevator, let me tell you. It's literally just flush.
It's flush to the ground. You don't even know it's there.
Mm-hmm.
But as we come up, we're in beautiful full FMV, so you know something exciting is going to happen. But there's a broadcast happening.
Look up, oh, look. Check out the Jumbotron. I wonder what's on that.
And at first,
that guy?
Hope and Lightning are looking around too. They're kind of like, oh, nobody's here in this what should be a crowded area of town. How peculiar.
It's like as they're just wandering around, like it's
Do-do-do-do-do.
in a recently convened emergency conference, the Sanctum announced that the fugitive Lassie has been located. The military plans to apprehend the Lassie and carry out a public execution. These images are coming to you live from the scene of Palumpolum, and
they see themselves on the
Oh
camera.
no!
Like,
He looks like me. Like,
I wonder who that's for.
Remind me to make that meme later.
you know that while overhearing all of this, like, oh, we have caught one of the Lassie and we're going to carry out a public execution. You know that Hope was like, cool, they got Snow and they're going to take care of my job. My enemies are
Operation
taking care
Nora
of
over.
And then he's like, oh, fuck, no, wait. Oh, my God, no, I'm an idiot. Oh, God, it's me. Oh, no.
When you turn into your favorite Twitch stream and you're on it.
Yeah, they're just
no.
looking at your Instagram and fucking roasting you.
Dude,
Oh no.
Psycom and Guardian Corps people come out of the fucking woodwork, though,
Oh
man.
yeah, no, it is
there
a
are
it
so
is a
many.
very, very dire scene. Like there is no real. The situation's not looking hopeful. They're coming from the sky. They got all they got ground troops rushing in. They got snipers on the fucking roof. They got those tilters floating in. Like these are Lassie. Show no mercy. They aren't people. They aren't targets. Is what Roche is
Or they
saying
are targets, yeah.
as he's just getting everyone mobilized, and it's like this is the worst possible situation that you could be in.
These are Lassie. Show no mercy. They aren't people. They're targets.
For the listeners at home, that's more dehumanization. We're hitting that motif real hard today.
Oh yeah, dehumanize yourself and face to Lassie.
Face to target.
And Lightning kind of pushes Hope behind her and is like, just start running. I'll keep him busy. And he's
Super
like,
cool.
oh, but, and he goes, she goes, you survive, right?
Yeah.
And then there's a big explosion from a hand grenade that you can't use anymore.
I got some bad news for you guys. I was right, motherfucker.
But the boys are back in town.
The boys are back in town. Which boys, you might ask? Well, after that explosion, Snow just comes fucking in, punching Psycom
the
and
fuck out of
Guardian
people.
Corps like in the belly and like
My
kicking
fucking
'em,
hero.
just beating the shit out of all these things. And then we see Fang running out from where the explosion was, and she says, "That's some crowd gonna need a plan." And Hope,
Oh my God.
in true Hope form, which is of course a shit heel thing to say, but it's
Snow,
cool
Snow.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He said Hope, sorry.
Snow. He says,
Since when have heroes ever needed plans?
Oh, God. I heard that and I was like, literally the last time you said that, a bunch of people got fucking murdered. He's like,
Yeah.
hey, you know what would be a good callback is the time when I got like 100
"This is the
people
time when
killed.
I said this and fucked up and everyone died." But the good news is he has something that he throws into the air and then shoots it with a gun that he took from a member of
Can we
Psycom.
say though, the way he takes the gun too is he like hits or kicks a dude and his gun flies way up in the air and Snow like beats another two guys and then catches the gun.
So good, dude. But that was his Idolith, I think is what it's called, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
he just summoned the fucking Shiva sisters, and there is like just an explosion of ice everywhere, and it just kind of wipes out everyone.
Yeah. I wish it was that powerful in battle, as we'll
I know,
come to
seriously.
talk about in a second.
But yeah, we get a really cool cutscene of what's the I keep calling them the Shiva sisters. What is this actually called?
I got the Shiva.
Yeah,
I mean, they
Shiva
are the
sisters,
Shiva
yeah.
twins or whatever.
Shiva
Yeah.
twins. Yeah, I thought there was like a different name for this.
They just have different. None of them are
Maybe.
named Shiva, but together they are.
I know it's
Maybe
like
you're right.
Stira and whatever. Who cares? Shiva. we get to see the cool animation in full FMV of them like becoming a motorcycle and like floating around.
Snow
and
jumps down and like does a cool like spinning animation with them as they're transferring to a motorcycle as he's also like mounting the
Yeah, it's
motorcycle.
very
It's
cool.
like
yeah, it's
and then
real
Fang
good.
immediately like follows. And,
Yeah,
like,
Fang. Before he jumps to get on the motorcycle, he goes Fang and throws her the gun real cool
So
and
sick.
hops over.
I haven't like dug through the specific Japanese, and there's like a lot going on. But the part where he says like, since when have like heroes ever needed a plan? The Japanese is kind of an interesting, like it's like they say something different. Like Fang says something like, "Oh, there's like a ton of people," and what kind of idiot would dive right into that? And then he goes, "There's two of them right here," and then he just jumps over the bar. So
Even
good.
better, dude. Even better.
That's a little bit better, yeah.
I need to point out that a few years ago, they reused assets from this FMV in a Nissan ad.
Oh, really?
Oh
In
my
which
God.
Snow is driving a fucking Nissan along these fucking ice tracks.
Please,
Oh my
please
God.
tell me it's a Nissan Cube.
I wish it was.
I saw a Nissan Cube a couple weeks ago, and I was like, "Fuck, man."
I wonder what's
I am-
under the hood
I
of
am
that
just-
thing.
I was like, I am just the kind of motherfucker who should have a Nissan Cube, and I regret to inform everyone that they stopped production like several years ago. Definitely in America, but I think also in Japan. So I'm like, fuck. I'm gonna have to find a used Nissan Cube for this new weird fucking obsession that I
Oh
have.
my
I'm
god!
also-
It's the it's what is this? It is a Nissan, like a little not hatchback, but like a what would you call it? Like a mini.
It looks like the
SUV or
Scion
something?
XA.
Is it a Versa? I had a Nissan Versa. They were doing some real hard product placement with that in general because they had for the
it's
entire
like a mini SUV, yeah.
For the entire season 2, I think, of
Maybe
Heroes, the titular hero was driving around a Nissan Versa, and they always name dropped it. They're like, "Get to the Versa," and it was like extremely charming, and it made me want a Nissan Versa. And
you just got hit by a Daewoo.
Again, shout outs to Eric. We both had Nissan Versas.
Okay, it's the Nissan is driving along like the ice bridges that Shiva has casted or whatever that are like.
Man, I'd be really bummed if like I lost to Shiva's twins and end up with a Nissan.
I gotta say,
at the end of the commercial. So the thing is like the driver who is Snow in this commercial has put on a VR headset. Which is they're like
is
seeing...
it him putting on the VR headset, or is the passenger?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, the passenger
and is, like,
did.
Imagining that they are in like FF13 in a Nissan.
Yeah, and then at the very end of it, they switch passenger and driver, and the guy who was driving puts on the VR headset, and he looks, and then Lightning's driving, and that's how it ends.
I feel like I remember this commercial, but it was like I didn't have any frame of reference at the time for Final Fantasy 13, so I was just like, oh,
it's just very funny seeing this ad first and then watching the cutscene. I'm like, oh hey, it's the Nissan.
It's the scene from the Nissan ad.
It's like for my Nissan commercial.
God damn, dude. And
does the license plate? The license plate says Kicks.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so fucking cool.
But Fang is not in the commercial. But
there's a dude doing a fucking kickflip too in this.
There is.
This podcast is officially brought to you by Nissan, the coolest car company around. Corey
can't
is
sign on to that.
Yeah. Corey is down to be saying car is good actually if it's a Nissan.
Yeah, I love when cars drive extremely dangerously through a city and like upstairs.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, completely in pedestrian areas.
We need to make stairs more accessible to cars.
Oh, have I given you guys my theory about car commercials? So okay, you notice how like
the ADA stands for Americans with Driving Act. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, so like obviously in a car commercial, they don't want to show what it's actually like to drive a car, which is that you're stuck in traffic on the highway going to work. Like that's like the experience for everyone.
There's no one ever on the streets in these freaking commercials.
Every car commercial is in a world almost entirely devoid of humanity. Sometimes they'll have a couple people, like really attractive people, like look over their shoulder and go, "Wow, look at that car." That's it. They're either
every now and then
they're either in a salt flat in the desert, or they're driving around an depopulated mountain, or they're in a city eerily devoid of any human life. Okay, so
Listen,
my theory is that car commercials all exist in the same shared universe right after the rapture.
Oh,
So-
I got really excited because I was going to say, listen, Corey, you're throwing a lot of stones here, but the thing is, every single car commercial was filmed in the Dragon Ball Z universe.
The T-Rex comes
Just
down and
suddenly
chases it
in
for
a
a
canyon
while.
so that no casualties happen when Goku and Frieza are blowing up.
When the car inevitably
entire
loses
city
control
blocks
and
worth of
deviates from its lane. Just keep an eye out. Next time you see a car commercial, count how many people you see like outside of a vehicle.
I don't know when the last time I saw a commercial was.
based.
Well, we just saw one.
That's fair. That's fair.
Every now and then there'll be
This podcast brought
a
to you
car
by Nissan.
commercial.
He said it. You got it. We can use it as a clip now.
Yeah, that's blackmail. We can blackmail them now.
My
But
rep.
Yeah, every now and then a car commercial will have a person like walking in the street to show off the cool safety features where the driver will not be paying attention, and then the car will stop on its own, and it'll be like, oh, like good for everyone. It's like, that's not how that would actually go. That's never how it goes, dude.
Go ahead and post like a bunch of articles of like
It's
Tesla's
totally fine to
absolutely
drive
creaming a bunch
recklessly.
of children.
It's also really funny because lately they've also been putting like people on bikes like in some of these commercials to be like, wow, look at this loser who can't afford our incredibly expensive car that costs like $50,000. But like in reality, and like the bicyclist is getting like passed super dangerously and literally illegally. But in reality, it's the exact opposite. The person in like the like Porsche or whatever is stuck in traffic, and the guy on the bike is blasting past him on the bike. Like that's the actual reality of transportation.
Well, anyway,
Cars bad. Don't let those genius marketers at Nissan fool you.
Okay, so getting back to the cutscene though.
So Snow takes out everybody except for
I love it. Anytime someone throws a thing and then immediately shoots it in midair, like that's always cool.
Very, very hard to do IRL.
Yeah, Fang and Snow are just whipping around doing. They have a track basically. They're just circling the Psycom or Guardian Core.
So the summon has created like a bunch of just ice all over
Frozen
the place
waves.
and ramps and cool stuff.
Like
And
a frozen water park.
has successfully turned Palumpolum into a car commercial where there's no innocent bystanders around and everyone who can get killed here.
Except there are many bystanders and they're all getting killed.
Well, no, but they're like
Well, not
soldiers who are-
bystanders, importantly.
They're standing by.
Oh, the people aren't they?
Yeah. They're targets, Alex.
The Hope is like steps forward, like it's him. And, like,
yeah, like he's like grabbing his knife, like
Yeah.
now's my chance. This guy
Just
who
hanging out and
saved our
then
ass.
ha, there's my enemy.
Yeah. This is a good time. This seems like a good time for this. Yeah.
There's a video where this guy's like talking about why knives are better than guns, and he's like talking about like
Oh my god, I know what you're talking
closing
about.
the gap, right? And it's just this guy's absolutely unhinged, and he's just like, so say you're hanging out, and you go, oh, there's my enemy. It flips out simply and just leaps at like a cardboard cutout. It's so good.
It also reminds me of in Always Sunny when Charlie and Mac are arguing about what's better, a sword or a knife, and Charlie just has a gun or like a sword and a gun, and Mac's like doing all kinds of cool katana stunts and stuff, and Charlie's just like click, 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 and he's just like, I got you, dude. And he's like, no, but what if I came in this? And Charlie's just like click, and he's like, but what if I like jump side to side? And he's just like following him easily and clicking the gun each time. He's like, dude, I don't know what to tell you, I got you.
but that doesn't happen here.
I think that's Hope really needs to embrace the Gungan lifestyle of a life debt, where sure Snow may have been the cause of his mother's death, but here he has saved Hope's life. Therefore, Hope now has a life debt to Snow, and now he has to follow him on all kinds of adventures and become a senator.
And become a senator and hand the
accidentally,
Senate over to
let the Empire take hold.
Yeah,
if I remember Jar Jar lore correctly.
That's right. Yep. But yeah. So Snow and Fang on the Shiva sisters kind of like spin out all of the other the guards, with the exception of a couple who we then are thrust into a battle with, right?
Yeah, there's some cool stuff where like Lightning's kind of fighting along. Snow and Fang are driving around, and we do see Roche, and like Snow and Fang are aiming for him, and like Roche like pretty fucking cool. He's just kind of standing there looking at them, and like one of his AirPod holders next to him just gets like taken down by Fang, and he's just kind of holding steady, and eventually he has to retreat though, and he's like, "Oh, take us up." And this cutscene's so cool.
If he had a 10-gallon hat, he would rip it off his head and throw it on the ground and stamp on it and curse those damn
shake harder, boy.
Yeah.
It's a very cool like Advent Children kind of style FMV, which I'm just a complete sucker for.
Yeah. Oh, actually, now that I'm looking at it, yeah. This FMV ends before we go into the fight or whatever.
Yeah. So Snow and Fang kind of stop, and they're face to face with Hope and Lightning. And
Lightning! What a scamp! What a devious little shit!
he just a big smile, like genuinely looks happy to see Lightning. He goes, "Lightning," and then he gives her a little wink, and it's such a shit-eating like himbo thing to do. I love it, dude. I love it.
He's so proud of himself. Just vindication. Just completely vindicated.
If Snow was smarter, I would hate him. But he's dumb and he's genuine, so I can't hate him. He doesn't know that everyone hates when he does this shit. He thinks he's doing it for their benefit.
He's like, yo, everyone loves me. I am the coolest man who ever
that's
lived.
the thing.
He's like,
that's what kills me about
everyone
Snow.
Wants me to be.
That's the thing that kills me about Snow is that he's always like, I did good, even though he like constantly is like ruining people's lives over and over. And he's just like, yeah, that's right. Yeah. That was all me, baby.
You can thank me later.
Like when he like leaves, like because here's the thing. This is like the behind the curtain, right? And not to spoil anything. Snow comes around in the next episode to where I'm like entirely on Team Snow. This is my last time I get to be like, I hate Snow. So like, this is the last time I get to do that. So I have to do it here.
Do it. You gotta do it.
Because after this, I'm like, no, I'm on board. Team Snow, let's fucking go. He rules. But the thing that always kills me about him,
I need the listener to know that every time Curtis says Snow rules, he flexes like a bodybuilder.
I do like a big flex. Yeah, no. But like what kills me up to this point, right, is that like he is is always like the shit eater, like I'm the hero, I did the thing or whatever. And I'm like, okay, let me think of like the things he's done thus far or whatever. Like when everybody's like really bummed at that first scene when Sarah like gets turned to crystal and he's like, no, I'm going to save her, and everybody's like, oh my god, Snow, you fucking idiot, you didn't. And that's like, you didn't do it. Now like this is where we're at. And then when he leaves everybody in Lake Brescia, right, he like is like, I'm gonna protect these kids unless it's not convenient to me because I want to hang out here. Actually, you guys go ahead. I don't care about like doing anything for you now. Like, so he constantly is like I feel like he has a lack of like empathy where he's like, no, I'm the hero, so I do good things, but I don't really care. It's like what I want to do now is what's important. And if you don't want to do that, then I'm more than willing to like let go of my obligation to you. Like, that's fine.
Without spoiling too much, I mean, you're kind of like
that's
track,
the thing.
right?
That's the thing is that he comes to terms with it soon, and I'm like, no, actually,
It's
and then
so
he fucking owns, and he's cool because he is the hero. Then
he has no empathy. He is not an empath. He is the opposite of an empath. But
A
he is
dipshit.
so malevolently good. Like he just. It's always good. Like he just accidentally does things.
Chaotic
that are good.
he's like, right now he's chaotic good, and he will become like the neutral good that we
Like he's
aspire
not
to
like
be.
a narcissist, or he's not self-obsessed in the way that usually is a thing. He's not. Yeah,
He's an idiot savant.
He's not.
right,
Rain
right.
Man
It's a
of
little more
heroism.
nuanced than that.
Yeah, he's not. He's like he's not doing stuff for his own benefit. Like he is, but not in the same
but not
way.
really. Yeah.
Like he's doing it because he's really bad at understanding what people think of him, and he's like,
Right.
"Oh well, people love when I do this, and I love making people happy, so I'm going to keep doing this." And it's like, you're not making them happy.
But yeah, he like, and I think that's his arc, and like that does come to a completion. So like there it is. There's my hope sucks hour, and I'm ready to get on board with you all now.
You mean Snow sucks?
So
Snow sucks, I'm sorry.
I love how this
before we get off
the
We keep saying Snow and Hope, we keep fucking it up.
Before we get off the Snow sucks train, I need us to acknowledge the kind of problematic nature of this motorcycle, which like
Oh yeah,
my God, yes.
if we
For
didn't
sure.
I don't
know, like-
blame Snow for that.
well, I was thinking if someone walked in and just saw this scene, they just think this guy was like an incel or something, because it's like just two women scissoring with like, and their faces like pointed right, like just like you're straddling them when you're
it's
so
like-
It
weird.
really is like an 80s hair metal like type of like.
It's like a fucking Man of War cover.
It's like the cartoon Heavy Metal. It's like a fucking
Yeah,
heavy
yeah,
metal,
yeah.
just like
If the listener doesn't know the band Man of War, and you want to see some like questionable album covers, it's a good place to go see them.
When Hope gets thrust over to Snow, and like Snow just like lumps him onto the motorcycle.
Oh, did we say that? Did we say that that's what happens yet? Snow gets off the motorcycle, winks at Lightning, and she pushes Hope at him, just like very deviously. Because like, I feel like we know what's in Snow in Lightning's head, right?
There's something very
She's
important that
pushing
comes
them
right
together
next-
to
right
make
after
them
that.
like work this thing out.
yeah.
What I do like is funny is that when she pushes Hope towards him, like take care of him, and she says, which I'm not sure if she's talking to Hope or Snow. Hope can interpret that. It was like take care of him.
Yeah, they both think she's talking.
I heard what you said, Lightning, and I came around like
I've never thought about that. That's
Oh
so
my God,
funny.
that's so funny. Yeah, really poor choice of words. It's like in fucking into Dark Knight when the Joker's holding what's her face, and he's like, let her go, and he's like, oh, that's a really bad choice of words.
So, okay, there's also something extremely important that I can't remember if it's actually been revealed yet, which is like he tries to stop Lightning from running away, right? And he says like, wait, listen.
Yeah, no, you don't
Yeah,
understand. Sarah's all right. She'll turn back.
And like
And,
even
yeah.
like Lightning just like stops, just like
Yeah.
like you
She
can see
stops
the
and she thinks
equations
about it.
like floating through the screen, like just,
Yeah,
just doing
Which like
calculus.
I don't blame her, because she does do like the equations flying through the screen, and then it's just like nah, and, like,
I gotta
walks
go.
away.
Well, no, she says she's
I was like, listen, dude, I've got too many like mind blow moments in the last like 5 minutes.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
I'm
I can't do this one
I'm
too.
a little over capacity right now.
she's got something else that she wants to do, or she has somewhere else to be, or whatever, like whatever her objective is, she can't stray from that, and she just says take care of Hope. She just hammers it home. She's like, fine, take care of Hope. Like that's what she wants to happen now. And Snow's like, oh, wait.
And then right before we get into this fight, Fang says, and then there were three, which makes it you think that there would be three
like,
people you
cool.
fight as in the battle, and there is not.
It's like, yeah, last chapter they were talking about how you don't want to fight certain enemies with only 2. We've had parties of 3 before, she says, and then there were 3, and you're like, fuck yeah.
Yeah,
and
fuck yeah, Fang, Hope, and Snow, it's gonna be
notably,
sick.
In the next fight, you do not get 3.
No, you just have Snow.
Two things. One is right before she says that, there's like this like quick shot of like the soldiers getting up, and one of the like robot guys is just awkwardly standing in the background and just like doesn't know what to do.
Like, Mom said it's my turn.
Maybe
to use
they
the
haven't
Xbox.
seen me yet.
Yeah, and then no, but also,
their vision is based on movement.
her saying like, and then there were 3. Like to me is the follow up of like the Japanese version of what they said when they first came in, which is like, what kind of idiot would run in there? And he says, "There's 2 of them right here," and they jump in, and then she's like, "Okay, well now there's 3."
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect
is
sense.
better,
But without that, it's just like that line does not land.
No, it seems like a mistake.
Yeah.
I also love that within seconds, like he's like, all right, gotta go, as like just throws Hope on the motorcycle as like the troops are starting to get up, and then Hope immediately falls off.
Yeah, Hope immediately falls off.
I love that Snow gets on the motorcycle. Snow gets on the motorcycle and just looks at Hope and he just goes, "So how you been?" Like, so fucking dumb, dude. It's so endearing to me. He's just like, this kid could stab you in the back literally right now, and he wants to. And you're just like, "Oh, so how you been, buddy? Good to see you, pal."
There's like such big like estranged uncle vibes going on here, right? Like he picks Hope up and puts him on his like creepy motorcycle made of ladies. And he's just like, I've been nephew.
Well, I think
Snow
that's like
does
the
have
thing
a
is
lot of
like
uncle magic.
he can't like imagine that somebody else would not think of him as the best thing in the world. And that's what I keep talking about, like, hey, where he like doesn't have that feeling for other people or whatever, where he's like, no, this kid definitely thinks the world of me, so I'm gonna be like super cool and everything. Like you can't.
Or like people, it's like, yeah, people might find me extra, but like nothing, it doesn't hurt anybody, kind of thing. Like, he's just kind of like maybe self-aware, but not as much as like he doesn't realize. Like,
yeah. And I also love he's like, time for heroics, and then he just dumps the kid by accident in front of me. I was like, oh shit, I fucked up immediately.
Yeah, just immediately fucking up as he is one to do, you know. He does take out a bunch of enemies in a very cool way, though, as he's doing that. There's like a lot of Guardian Core that he's like just hitting with the motorcycle. That tilter's there, and he just fucking full on kicks it, like does a teep and fucking pushes it over. And then Hope falls off, and he goes back and like protects him and says like, take cover, I got this one. And then we get a very, very fast boss fight.
So do you guys, how does the Gestalt mode work? Like, do you just do auto Gestalt every time, or do you pick specific moves and like what?
I picked specific ones for this battle and lost 3 times.
Yeah,
I died 3 times.
I don't understand
in this
how
fight.
the like meter work. Like, there's no explanation of any of that stuff.
So here's what I know
I think
about
there
it.
is an explanation, but it's a Final Fantasy 13 explanation, so you might as well just have an expert tell you how to do it.
Yeah. Well, here's what I know about it. In a normal fight, when you summon the Eidolon for the first time, there are 2 bars, right? One represents its health, and the other one represents the Gestalt meter. As you build that meter up, like you can basically turn them into Gestalt mode at any time and turn them into whatever like writable machine they are. But the more you let that build up, the more points you'll have in Gestalt mode to spend on like the auto battle attacks or the whatever. Now this one just starts in Gestalt mode, so it just gives us like the maximum amount that we can have for the time. And I don't really understand when to want certain attacks over others, because for me, every one of Snow's attacks costs 3 AP.
Yeah.
Or GP, or whatever it is, the Gestalt
But
points,
also,
right?
there's like this countdown needle.
Once it gets to the bottom, it will automatically choose one for you.
But it says all, so does that spend like all
No,
of your
so
points?
all is basically you'll put all of your points into that ultimate move. So Shiva's ultimate move is Diamond Dust.
Should you save points for that? Like, should you just wait till the end?
I don't know if like I'm not sure if using all 30 would result in like higher damage or be beneficial.
Versus, I was gonna say, like, I'll tell you what happens if you run out, because I did in this battle run out. I just kept hitting all, and I was like, oops, I accidentally used the last 3, and even though I only had 3, and it left me with 1, but the 1 was like dark blue when it popped up, and so I was still able to go ahead and use Diamond Dust. But I don't know if maybe it was like weaker or whatever, but apparently in this fight you can't go past without using Diamond Dust.
Yeah, I think by next week we'll have a a definitive answer on that. I'll talk to
because
Swanzig.
because
I've been
Swanzig will
wondering as well.
post in the Discord.
Because Swanzig will be angrily typing when he listens to this.
I don't know. You just kind of vibe. This game, you just do whatever you want, really. It's like there's no like rules. Like nothing really affects anything.
Yeah, exactly. Just hit X to win, dude. It's fine. You just auto battle, auto gestalt.
It's got auto. You just hit go and you win.
It's
like,
this
game is not hard.
Set it and forget it.
It's okay to let the game play itself.
His moves are really sick. It's wheelie, spin, freeze, icicle drift, ice ramp, and diamond dust.
Ice ramp is cool as hell.
It's like a 6-set, bro.
Yeah. But this fight, I mean, we've talked a bunch about how battles can happen very fast and like you don't really get to see what's going on. This battle, I didn't even know how many enemies there were. I saw a boss bar that says Orion and I was just like, okay, I guess I'm just going. And I just tried doing as many of the things as I could. And then at one point I hit diamond dust and it was not enough to kill the boss. And then you only have snow, and snow versus the boss is not good.
Yeah, the boss moves at least as fast as snow.
Yeah, like you have to learn how to use the sentinel stuff. That's like the point.
Well, I think the thing is like for me anyway, in this battle, the boss is as fast as snow is. Snow does not have any naturally healing abilities at this point. You have potions, but the boss will do more than a potion will heal. So even if you're in Sentinel, you're not healing. You're just like taking less damage. And so you can't really use that to get through the fight.
Like the Sentinel, there's like a counterattack thing, and
yeah, but that's only if you've unlocked Vendetta on the Crystarian, whatever the fuck it's called. Which at the points that we've been in, I don't think you could have done that yet because
you can't even have unlocked it yet.
I lost the fight at first, and then I was able to level up in the Crystarium, and I was like, oh, okay, sick. Like, cool. Like, because I was fighting the boss for a good couple of minutes and just trying to do Sentinel, using a lot of potions, doing whatever I could. I wasn't able to get him into stagger or anything, and I was just like, oh, I can't really do anything.
I think you can also
Then I leveled up
Sentinel
a bunch, and then I did all auto gestalt, and the battle was over in like 10 seconds. So it's like,
you can also Sentinel up enough that you get Shiva again and just use it again.
Oh, is that so?
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's a very good idea. I ended up doing it. What I eventually ended up doing, because I lost a couple times to this fight. Because I did the same thing you did. I after I lost the first time, I went ahead and leveled up. And can I say, it was really nice to see like, oh, Snow has like 40,000 Crystarium points because he's just been getting points as we do all the other battles, and it's really fun to just hold the X button or whatever and just hear it go, like all the way up.
Yeah, I saw that and I sent a picture to Alex and I was just like, oh boy.
Yep.
I've never seen.
I'm glad they didn't leave him like old Pokemon in the PC.
Oh, in the daycare. Away. Oh, in the PC. Yeah.
It's really nice that that experience is shared even for people that are out of the story party. Like it's just such a load off from like growing up on Final Fantasy VII and just being like, oh no, I didn't level up this character.
From a far cry from Pokemon Red, where you're like, oh my god, every single Pokemon has to be individually leveled up and like experience share is garbage. And
can I point out an interesting thing about Snow's Crystarium though, which I thought was kind of neat? So multiple other characters have their levels of Crystarium that they go up. You complete like a tier and then you go to the next tier. Snow has several tiers that are only one node to let him go up to the next tier. And so he has less nodes that he's actually having access to than compared to all the other characters. But they're better nodes when you get up to it, which is like, so I think it all ends up being about the same.
Yeah,
but it's just neat the way they chose to do that. Because it's almost like, oh, well, Snow didn't have the character arc that the other ones did when they have the big tiers and they're able to get everything because we haven't been playing as him. But now here's his character arc, and so here's this big field of things that you can choose from that have all these stat points. I don't know that's like, intentional, but it's just neat.
It makes sense that like they wouldn't waste your time on like, oh, you have all these choices about like levels that you're gonna blow past, but also like it's a cool like visual representation of like character depth and like our time spent with these characters. That's kind of cool. I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah, I like it.
I like it. I just think it's neat.
But yeah, I was able to do Libra on Orion, which is this boss name. It
I'm a
looks
Virgo,
like a,
so.
like a, it just looks like a big tilter, like we said. But yeah, not too much to talk about. It's got a stagger point of 250, and it's susceptible to slow, which we do not have with snow yet. Or
if only we had it
all
with
or
an
ever.
upcoming character.
Yeah. But it's weak to blizzard and water, which is nice because snow is pretty much always able to throw blizzard.
That's why he's called Snow.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I was gonna say it was kind of interesting because like Snow is obviously like a great big dude who loves to punch and kick and things. But the way I eventually beat this, because I lost a couple times, was I just set him in Ravager, and I was like, wait, he's doing way more damage as a Ravager, even with a lower magic stat. Like, because I had like the power circle on him, so it had like lower magic, and he was doing significantly more damage just as a Ravager. So I was like, oh, okay. So I just set him in Ravager, and I let him go to town on it, and he took care of it, no problem.
Oh, and I think in discussing just the different class of like Ravager or Sentinel, we had mentioned before, like where you talked about the stickiness of Commando and stuff. We can actually see that if we go into one of the menus, we can actually get a description, like a brief description of what the level actually has, which I don't know if we mentioned that specifically.
I don't know if I know that.
I saw that when I was playing through. I was like, oh, that's where that was. That thing that I didn't know if the game told us or not.
Oh, interesting. Speaking of stickiness, I don't know if this is the case too. I feel like Snow's Commando maybe is not as sticky as Lightning's.
Yeah,
like
it didn't seem like it. At least in this fight, like maybe that's because it's a solo attack.
Hey, maybe it doesn't have the roll
Have
levels.
we leveled up? Has Lightning gotten to level 2 Commando yet at this point in the game?
Yeah, she may have had like
Yeah, I
multiple
think
roll
so.
levels where Snow hasn't. Yeah.
Yeah, she's just higher in that role.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think my Snow was already level 2 Commando, but I could be wrong about that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, it was definitely level 1. You are correct. Yeah, so level 2 increases the stickiness of it as well. So
Okay.
and you are able to see that somewhere when it might have been in the paradigm thing. I can't remember specifically where it was. But.
We go into the Final Fantasy wiki after this and change the words to sticky and stickiness.
Yeah.
Right?
Change the Wikipedia article to Rip Bozo.
I see. So if you go to customize your paradigms, and for Snow, there's not really much of a reason to, other than maybe getting an ATB refresh in a role
sure.
that you're already in, sort of thing. But that is where when you're setting which role for the character, it'll say Commando level 2 bonus augmented attacks. Bonus for Sentinel is damage reduction and like improved chaining and stuff. So I think that's where it kind of tells you the role bonus.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, so the true way to beat this fight is to just to lose it once, go through, level up your Crystarium with all the points so you get more strength and more attack power, and then just auto gestalt and the battle's over.
Yep.
On easy mode, I just hit the final gestalt, and it did it in one move.
Sick.
But yeah, like as soon as the fight ends,
You're just standing there, and he's just like pounding his fists together,
like he's always
like
doing.
he
Like,
always does when he
I
starts.
love it so much.
but Hope walks up, and Snows is like, "Yeah, what's up?"
What's up?
Where have you been?
I got taken in.
Wait, what?
Not by enemies. It was the cavalry, not SciComm.
Oh, I'm working with the Nazis. The good Nazis, not the bad ones.
Yeah.
The ones that are help me girlfriend.
But he does say,
Yeah, leader's name is Reigns. He said he'd lend us Lassie a hand. So now your hero is back.
Yeah. It's like,
now
oh,
your
okay.
hero is back. Ooh.
Yeah, literally flexing and looking away,
Miss
all
me?
dramatic.
And again, this is not his fault in this case because Snow would not know, right? But like he does proceed to put his foot in his mouth so far that he can taste his kneecaps like throughout the course of this next couple scenes.
Have you guys ever done that? I think we talked about this on the Final Fantasy X season when Titus
Oh my
had a
God,
similar moment of just being like, oh my God, everything I've ever said has been dumb as hell. Like
When he's like, hey, when you're done with your pilgrimage, we're gonna have a great time.
yeah, and just like, have you guys ever had that moment of like realizing something that you said and you're just like,
Only
oh my
every
God.
night, right before I go to sleep.
I've been calling your Crandall.
I've been calling it
They
Crandall.
call it a Crandall.
But yeah, so Hope brings up a good point. He says, like, why would the army help us? That doesn't make sense. And again, Snow's pretty fucking dumb, so I'm sure Hope's like, this fucking idiot is like, they're pulling one over on him, you know?
These ones say they're good.
Yeah, they said they were cool, so it's fine.
It's got a man named Sid in it. They can't be bad. Yeah, but Snow's like, oh, the military's got all kinds. Not all of them are like the Sanctum. Don't worry, I'll handle the bad guys. Come on.
Yeah.
There's plenty of good cops.
Yeah.
But then you have a little gameplay section where you get to play as Snow and Hope. You get to run around as them, and they...
Yeah, we're basically kind of running back through like some ice tunnels that he'd formed up into like at the upper layers of this kind of like Coliseum-y kind of square section.
Yeah,
I really like...
It feels like something on a college campus where they'd have like outdoor assemblies.
We're starting on a series of little... like vignettes almost, where we're like Hope and Snow or Fang and Lightning, and like we kind of go back and forth several times. And this portion of the game I think is the best part of the game. Like, I know that I've said like, oh, I love when Lightning and Hope are together, and that is my favorite dynamic. But like, I think I don't want to say that there's not care taken into any other part, but there's so much care taken into Palumpolum as a city and as an environment, and like to the pacing of the story starting at this part, that like a lot of times I'll be like, I want to play Final Fantasy 13, and I'll get past this section and be like, okay, I'm done now. I got to my favorite part. That's the best part of the game.
It's so good also to pair like a morally uncompromising dipshit himbo with a little kid who's been traumatized and wants to kill him. Like, it's just a very interesting dynamic.
The amount of like fuck yes I was screaming during that whole last scene, and then like when Hope just immediately gets thrown in the snow, I'm like, I couldn't have asked for a better outcome to any of this. This is so good. And like these fights for the most part aren't really all that interesting. It's just more of the, you know, the PsyCom and the Guardian Corps members. Hope and Snow are a surprisingly good team, especially if you've leveled up Hope. But I unlocked Launch with Snow, and it is now my favorite way of playing any game. I mean, I guess I was kind of the same way in Final Fantasy VII
Launch is in this
Remake.
from Dragon Ball?
Yeah. Best girl. But I kind of did this in Final Fantasy VII Remake as well, where anytime I could control Tifa, I was just like, I'm just playing as Tifa. Because playing as Snow is so fun, because he just runs up to people and punches the shit out of them. So like Hope would help him stagger him, and then he would launch people by uppercutting him.
I love his uppercut launch.
At one point, I was just so excited with like all of the adrenaline from the last scene that I ended a fight by just doing one last attack with Snow when he was staggered. So we uppercutted the dude out of frame, and the guy just screamed comically, and then it came up, and it's just like 5 stars, and I was like, this game fucking owns. This is
vaporize this guy with
it was just like I was laughing so hard, dude. It was so good.
That's awesome.
There was a lot of that in this scene, and a lot of me saying, fuck yeah, this game rules and Snow is good.
A lot of controversial takes.
Oh yeah. I think that's the most controversial take you can have is 1, Final Fantasy 13 is good, and 2, Snow from Final Fantasy 13 is also good.
I love that. Yeah, we're on like the upper kind of corridors, and we as we walk forward, we actually can find like a little like side step to like bypass some of the fights. Ice bridge.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool, and that actually leads to a new coat, I think.
Yeah.
The Paladin?
Yeah, the Paladin.
Yes, the Paladin.
I really wanted to see what this looked like.
I think it has wings on the back or something like that.
Nice. I wanted to see what it looked like, but I was disappointed when I put it on that it didn't change Snow's like in-game model. It only does that in battle. So I was like, well, I'm losing a significant amount of everything, and it seems like this is for a different situation that I'm in right now. So I'll have to wait on this one.
It also occurred to me that we have not had the opportunity yet to power up any of Snow's weapons. Like, since we've learned about weapon upgrading, we haven't had Snow in the party yet, right? Mm-hmm. Actually, we went like 5 chapters without Snow, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like, we went a good portion of the game without him.
Yeah, like we had the flashbacks, obviously, and stuff, but not like any
We last saw him on Brescia, and that was like 3 biomes ago.
Yeah. It was like that, and then
I
the
also
small
count
portion
time
where
in biomes.
the part where they're like, well, we haven't had you control Snow for a while, so now you're going to control him in the past.
You know, it's kind of interesting, also in this environment, how the ice like vines have kind of like pierced deeper into some of these like tunnels that they're in.
It's true.
And if you think of like Palumpolum as like Hope's space, right? It's his hometown. It's where he's comfortable.
Oh man.
It's like Snow is like, you know, digging, like getting in under.
He's like a
skin,
virus.
You know? Like he's like infecting like Hope's image of like what, you know, his home, right? Like his, like it's cool, like it's like, you know, like
Snow has absolutely no idea that like Hope is from here.
Right.
Yeah, he probably doesn't even know that.
It was like, yeah, whatever. Like, isn't this cool? We get to wreck this like this bougie neighborhood.
Yo, you like this building over here? Check this out. He like shoots like Shiva into it and just destroys it. He's like, boom, that was cool.
It's just like, you know, this ice, this like tendrils of like ice are invading his home, you know, his hometown. And like they're everywhere. Like he can't get away from them. They're all around. Like he can't stop thinking about like Snow and what he did to his mother.
Yeah.
I do like that though. We fought like a after I get the coat. We fight a few of these core Pacifex. I think that's what they're called.
Like the Tranquil decks or whatever. Like the Pacifex.
And a Psycom Warlord, which is like the giant like the guy we fought on the Sky Bridge, but he's like red and blue instead. He's freaking loaded up. He has like these giant like canisters on his back.
I love the design of that enemy. I don't know. There's something about it that just like tickles me. Like it's
really cool.
Yeah.
It's a big popped collar. The biggest popped collar in the whole game.
And I also like that he
outdoing Snow, which is most impressive.
They're kind of low speed, and so a lot of times they just stand there, and you're just wailing on them, and they're just not even reacting.
Just kind of like coming at you like Frankenstein, but then he'll just like jet towards you occasionally.
That is the part that like is cool for me. Like you're just like, oh shit, like just oh no.
They also do good damage too when they actually do hit you.
Yeah, it takes them a while to do an attack when they're like charging their mana drive or whatever. I forget what the attack's called. But it's likely that it could knock out Hope if he's not at full HP, which is also likely because I think unless you're provoking him, he won't really be going for Snow. But pretty easy to stagger, and then like you can just, you know, launch him in the air and do tons of damage.
But we eventually come, I guess we come on a like opening on the corridor, and we kind of drop into like a utility utility corridor. It's not for people, and we find some like insulated cabling and some items down here, which I always do. Is if you drop in somewhere and the arrow is telling you to go right, look left first.
Yes,
almost always an item.
I hate that because it just makes me like break the game. You know, like I'm constantly just like, oh, I guess I'm supposed to go here, which means I should go over here because I don't want to miss the item.
My favorite thing to do in platformers too. Like I love going like one screen over. I'm like, hey, look, there's all a cache of stuff here.
Yeah.
I like there is some dialogue that Hope says when you're just kind of running around, or he's kind of just coming to terms with this situation, his worst nightmare situation that he's been thrown into, where the only person who can really protect him in this awful situation is the person that he wants to kill, and he just says, this is all a part of Operation Nora. It's like
this is just the plot. This is just the plot of Tommy Boy.
Yeah, this is just trains, planes, and automobiles.
Like, Snow is just trying to save its dad's business, and meanwhile, David Spade is like, I'm literally going to murder you tonight.
That is a good movie, though. But so we get to the end of this area, and Snow's kind of like looking down over that utility alley that you were kind of talking about, and he looks back at Hope, and he's like, "You've changed, haven't you? Seems like you've toughened up."
And there's like this shot.
Oh yeah, this is when we come up on like another drop off, and we're even deeper and deeper into like the belly.
Yeah, we're going
the sports
down.
complex. We're in the Wells Fargo Center.
I think we just come out the other side into an alleyway.
He's looking through this portal like further down.
But we do come up to a door at the end of this hallway, and we do see like some Guardian Corps and Psychom on the other end, and he's just kind of sneaking around. And then, there's that point where you realize like, oh yeah, this kid's been fighting with me this whole time. He's a
but also
kid
think
now.
about, you know, like again, if this place is like a metaphor for like Hope's like, you know, mind or his feelings or whatever, right? They're delving deeper and deeper into it, right? They're getting it to the core of like what is animating Hope right now.
Yes.
Yeah, and Snow, this is a nice scene because like I feel like Snow, all Hope wants to do is be stronger. That's like his whole mission with Lightning was like, I need to get stronger. So like, even though like having someone that you hate tell you something nice about yourself that you really want to be is a really nice feeling. So Snow being like, oh, you've changed, haven't you? You've toughened up. Like that's gotta feel pretty good. And Snow starts winning some points, I think, and then immediately fucks it up.
Well,
and
it's really funny first that like he's like, you've changed, haven't you? And you just get a shot of Hope like just looking like murderous. Just like
Hope
it's just
looks so
the face of someone
angry.
who literally wants to kill you.
Most of this chapter is just like angrier and angrier, like
Yeah, like, oh, you've changed, haven't you? And this guy has like literally like first degree murder on the mind. Like he's just like, yeah.
He's premeditating it so
Yeah,
much.
dude. But yeah, Hope says, I'm a Lassie. I had to. And Snow trying to like he genuinely, again, he's being genuine here. He doesn't realize how fucking stupid he is.
Yeah.
But he says the worst possible thing he can, which
Oh
is,
my god.
the only ones that ought to be fighting the army are us dumb grown-ups.
Before we go to the next line, because the next line is the fucking home run Snow, what are you saying thing.
Yeah.
But before we go to that, I just want to point out that like I don't think this is Snow's fault as well, but it is I love the, like we were talking about the dynamic between them. Like it's fun to see Hope and Lightning, who were kind of opposites in a way, but it turns out that they're very, very similar. And then we've been with them for a long time. And so now that we're getting Hope and Snow together, they have like a different vibe together, right? And it is interesting that like, not to his detriment, but Snow's very much like, oh, Hope is a child. I'm going to protect this child and talk to him like a child. And Lightning's like, no, you and me are partners. We are equals. And like, that's how it is. Like, we'll
really
argue and
changed.
everything.
Yeah.
Is like Lightning started to see him as an equal. And that's how he sees himself now, you know, and he's not going to go back down to like being a little kid anymore.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's this weird, like, kind of shift of like Hope's agency, even though Snow's trying to be good, he is kind of like removing Hope's agency by talking to him in the way he does.
Yeah, but as they're having this conversation and Snow's like, oh yeah, only dumb grown-ups should fight. Hope has flashes of his mother like taking the gun like right before she died, and he says, you think it's stupid to fight? And Snow said, it is if you get killed.
Snow, back off! Abort!
Yeah, like don't the worst thing.
I'm hitting the abort button on like the fucking.
It's like, buddy,
console.
like even you should. Well, I don't know, like if. Yeah, I don't think Snow even like knows that Hope was part of that party that they were protecting, because immediately
Hope's mom, like Nora said, like get him home. Nora's mom said get him home. Like she asked him to protect Hope, and he was just like, "Huh, wonder who that was about."
Wonder who
He's
that's
like, "Well,
for.
I don't know who she asked me to do that for, so I'm just gonna help everyone." Like he has.
But I think it's just like that. He didn't even know that like Hope was like part of that like whole party, because like then Snow leaves and then Hope like kind of splits off from the group and derobes. So like he has absolutely no idea. He's just a strange kid he bumped into. Like
exactly.
In the vestige, weird place to see a kid, but all right.
Yeah, and also
he probably doesn't even know they met before like the vestige.
The thing that Curtis was talking about earlier, right, where like he is moral but not really empathetic. That's like one of the character flaws for Snow, is that he's so obsessed with like being the hero for everyone that he's not like aware of how his actions are affecting people emotionally. This is like getting to the heart of it, right? Like he himself, much like Lightning, you know, is constantly fighting so she doesn't have to acknowledge like what's happening, you know. For him too, his like obsession with being a hero is like a way for him to like keep moving forward. And you know, like when he's like, yeah, it's if it's not, it's like only an idiot gets killed, haha. Like he's like, for him, he's talking to himself too. You know, like he's trying to like not acknowledge the people that he's put in danger.
Yeah. He's probably also trying to lighten the situation and stuff. Like he knows
he's
probably trying to lessen the gravity of it for Hope, being like, oh no, just leave it to us dumb grown-ups. Like take care.
Yeah.
Like
for Hope ostensibly, but also for him is what I'm kind of getting at.
Yeah,
like it's his own defense mechanism is like, oh, I just wink and I flex and I'm a cool guy and like just keep going, like just you know, Nolan North it up.
In the way that Lightning didn't have to think about shit when she is just, you know, running and attacking and fighting. Snow's the same way about just being like, oh, positivity, like oh, I'm the hero and stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah, but he says, anyway, just lay low, let the dummies duke it out. The army's no match for Nora, right?
Oh no! Abort!
Don't do that, dude. Like he doesn't know. Oh my god, he's got his AirPods in. He doesn't know. Yeah, and that
he just stomps off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. And like it's like we're saying, like not all of that's his fault. Like it's not like he's not like doing any of it intentionally and anything. But you're like, oh no, he doesn't know.
Like he just keeps saying worse things. Like no, stop, he's already dead.
And it just and it kind of just ends with Hope saying like
he was smiling.
He was smiling, and like we kind of see Hope follow along, like very pissed off, obviously, following after Snow, and he just has the knife behind his back, like walking towards Snow.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. I love it. Like, I love how fucking like tense this is ramping up to be, right?
Yeah.
And I imagine like Lightning's had I feel a bit of a duh moment too, because she was like, if I just put them together, they'll work it out. It'll be fine.
It's worked out so far.
Yeah.
Very Shakespearean.
Which, by the way, I mean, Snow is gonna recognize that knife, which is like even sweeter, you know?
Yeah.
Oh god.
It's so much more juicy.
Cool. But I think is that where we're gonna leave it today? We'll
End the call here.
All right. Yeah.
Which is a good, I think actually, that would be a good point to pick it up, because it's a handoff with our other half of the party.
Little spoiler
Right.
for next week, but the reception of the call here is getting a little choppy as well, so we should probably cut it.
Talk about our lipstick cell phone.
God,
next time.
I'm so excited to talk about the
so
dumb.
stupid.
It's so dumb. I love it so much. I want one.
Thank you so much, Corey, for coming on. I really appreciate it. Good to have you twice in a row.
Yeah, thanks for having me two in a row. I know I got a little greedy.
2 weeks in a row. I think Darmok might be the only person who's done that before, right? Or maybe Corey has. I can't remember. But either way,
The point is that it doesn't matter. No, I just got kidding.
You know, I just got to come in for all the juicy stuff to sink your teeth into.
Would you like to plug anything? You got anything to plug?
Yeah, I mentioned it last week as well. But I am for work. I'm planning a Complete Streets training workshop in New Jersey. So we're doing they're 3-hour lectures. They're free to register for, and they teach about what Complete Streets are, how to get complete streets, planning, you know, in your town, and then how to actually design it to improve your streets. So I'm encouraging anyone in New Jersey to apply for these things. You just register. They're remote. They're free. They're going to be on October 13th, October 20th, and October 27th. And the link will be in the description, obviously. But you know, definitely check it out if you have time.
Yeah, sounds
check
great.
it out. I will.
What about you guys?
I'm still going through that charity stuff. I guess depending on
Wonderful.
on when this episode comes out. I think there'll still be time. We got a big stream planned for the 28th of September. I'm going to be trying to take off of work and doing a nice long, like 10 to 12 hour crowd control run of Dark Souls. If I can figure out how to get all that
Nice.
running, I think I should be able to. That'll be super fun. Dark Souls randomizer. My fiance and I will be doing a Stardew stream at some point, because that was one of the incentives that we met for the donations.
Yes.
We're pretty close. It's probably going to happen. She might cosplay as one of the characters from Stardew Valley, Abigail.
I saw that. I just wanted to know. And when I saw that, I was like, Abigail from Street Fighter? That's going to be sick.
Carl, every time I see you streaming for that like fund, I just keep thinking like, no, don't speedrun Dark Souls. You're so sexy. Aha.
But yeah, it's all going to the American Heart Association. We already broke through the first milestone, or I guess it was the second milestone, but we're over $1,000 raised, which is super, super sick. So yeah, just come check that out. And at end of October is going to be Speed Souls Charity Marathon. So I'll be doing more promoting about that when it gets closer to that. But that's always a good time. That's also for a really great cause. That's for I am completely blanking. Save the Children. The thing that Hope wants to do. Or that Snow wants to do. Fuck, whatever. Anyway, point is, charity stuff, my Twitch stream, whatever. You know where I am. You can come find me and kick my ass.
Do it. We got a lot of good sound alerts.
It's true.
Something you may recognize from the first season.
Yeah. $30, you can put one of those in my stream.
Nothing for me. I finally got that fridge.
Nice.
Still, death to landlords.
Install the carbuncle in your basement so you can finally have food again.
Yeah, they'd replace it. Yeah. One of the faces of his carbuncle was like looking a little gross. They had to go in there and put a new one.
That's why you got two.
That's right. Yeah. I do have a Zaku show coming up on the 30th at the Philadelphia Insectarium. So it's going to be a good time. Come out and see a cool bug and hear some good riffs.
The bugs are going to love it.
Yeah, maybe you weren't ready for that, but your bugs are gonna love it.
Oh, I have another announcement. Next week is my birthday.
Happy birthday!
Ooh, happy
birthday,
birthday,
Corey.
Excited. We're going hiking in the.
Can't believe you're finally 24
Appalachians.
years old.
Yep, this is Pride 24. That's me.
Can't wait till I'm old enough to feel ways about stuff.
My band will be playing a show at Ortlieb's for the first time in like maybe 2 years. Ourselves, Horse Divorce, and Bloodhound will be playing on the 24th. Come check it out.
Love that place.
Orleans has really good sound. Alex, would you like to throw us into the air and then shoot us.
And then drive away in your Scion cube. Your
drive
Nissan
away
cube.
Get in, loser. We're fulfilling our focus. Thank you to Masachiyama Uzu. Especially like this episode is loaded with tons of just great jams. Be sure to rate, review us, and subscribe to us on iTunes and Spotify and wherever you find podcasts. I know there's a lot of places to get them now. You can even check out our website, everyfnff.com, because there's lots of links there, that's for sure. You can call us or text us at 530-MATERIA, and you can find us at everyfnff on Twitter, Instagram, Twitch. Hop in our Discord for some good post-episode discourse and corrections.
Post-episode clarity.
Yeah, that's right.
And these are, let's see, show no mercy. They aren't people. They're podcasters.
Bye.
Bye.